desire to grow and succeed purely comes from like a fear of poverty. Like I know what it's like to grow up and have nothing, you know.
Right, welcome to another episode of Irish Success Podcast, and today we have Joe Doyle. Now, I've been waiting for Joe Doyle for a couple of months, so I'm a little bit overexcited, as you might see, okay? Joe is an author, property guy, investor, entrepreneur, a father, and a husband. So, Joe, I've read your book, From Deck to Deck, and I have to say it's amazing because...
Appreciate that.
There's a very few people in Dublin who do that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So in the business world, you're the guru over here in Dublin, you know, you have like close to 100,000 followers on Facebook, don't you?
I'm the man when it comes to that exact stuff.
That exact stuff, yeah. And it actually does what it says on the tin. It teaches people how to make 500 quid a day. And, you know, when I read it, I thought, you know, everybody thinks that they already know everything, you know. So when I was reading it and when I came across the page, when you talk about contracts, it changed my business in the car business, really? Yeah, because I didn't have a contract and it was really messing things up, you know. So let's start from the property business, Joe. So what have you done this year so far? Because you've done some amazing things. I follow you on Facebook. So
Jesus, what have I done this year so far? Not that much, to be honest. Like
your main job is flipping property. So you basically
it's mostly we're buying properties to rent them out. So we're just chasing rent roll all the time. So we had a really busy last year, which was great. I suppose I'm probably doing my most important deal this week.
Oh really?
Which is I'm clearing my ma's mortgage.
Oh,
you know, so
well done.
She'll be mortgage free now this week. Be delighted to be able to do that, you know. Not getting any income off the property, but you're looking. You know, it's part of the course, you know. You have to look after the family. So that'll be the first deal closed at this year. Just literally outside before I come in there, just putting the finishing touch on another deal. So hopefully have that one signed this week. Look, lots of good stuff. But mainly we're just out buying houses to rent. Simple as that.
And do you find that because there's a lot of landlords who are exiting the property market? Maybe we could focus on that a little bit because there's a lot of people who are watching us here. They want to get into the property market, but you know how we want to hear from a guy like you a little bit of advice on this, because how do you enter the property market when everybody is running away from it now?
Right. So most landlords have one property, maybe two, and most landlords are a guy that is a painter, plumber, plasterer, mechanic, small builder, has 3 or 4 lads working for him, no pension, and he buys a house as his pension. And he can't afford to stay in tune with all of the regulations because they're changing all the time, and he's doing everything himself, so it's getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and it's just not worth the hassle for him, so he just gets out of it. Whereas because we're professional, we've got a full crew, we've got enough properties on to justify paying the wages for the property manager and different things like that, it's a little bit easier for us because we've a team. But it is getting more and more difficult to the point where I'm like, right, I'm not going to do this standard stuff anymore. I'm moving towards doing different things now, and they're making the problem worse.
You mean different things? You mean commercial property?
No, we'll be still in the resi place, but we're just going to be looking at different types of deals, you know. It's not worthwhile doing the smaller deals no more. One single house is just not worth it, you know.
I've done my maths on it, you know. That's why I haven't been going into this small stuff. If I was going to go into something, probably the commercial side of it, you know, because I couldn't make sense of it, you know. If you buy a house and you rent it out, I know it's an income, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, on the end of the month, all you have is a couple of £100 profit on it, you know what I mean? And then if the guy calls you that the mattress needs to be changed, the house needs to be painted, it's just, you know, on the long run. Yeah.
So, like, for us, because we got so many properties, you're getting, like, you know, whatever amount, you know, say, like, less than $1,000 off each property. But when you have loads of them and it comes in every month, it's like, it's easy, you know. Sorry, would you say it's easy? It's not easy. It's, the money comes in. Right, so like if we're working doing whatever we're doing here and we're busting our chops and we make 10 grand in the month, well, it's a good month, but we've worked really hard for it. But if you get the rent coming in and it's bringing in 5 grand a month and 5 grand that month, and you haven't done that in that month, and then next month's another 5 grand, like it's coming in consistently. So there is benefits to it, you know. And like the game that we were playing, like in our office, was I was just 100% on the property. And we got up to a certain level, and then we set up another business. I'm trying to get the other business to beat it, you know. And so we had the property, then I got my other business to beat it. Now we've got my property beating the other business again, and it's just a game. And we're just playing this game all the time. And once you treat it like a game, it's better. But the regulations are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. and they're making it worse.
Yeah, you know, have you ever heard of the "you will own nothing and you'll be happy"? You know.
Yeah. Well,
would that be part of it? Do you reckon they want people out of the property market so BlackRock can be renting all the properties to people?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I asked a couple of lads and they said there might be something in it. You know.
Yeah, but like it's just what's going on out there, and like I don't really give a shit. You know, like look, I'm getting out. Like the whole thing is, you don't want to get to your last day or your last days and realise that you could have done a better job.
Yeah, that's my motto. You know, that's why people say, "Oh, you should stop doing this because the recession is coming." Fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, look, if I wasn't in the property space, I'd still get wealthy in another space. You know, I like the property space was kind of a natural progression for me, because like one of the things I say to all my clients is like, you want to go, just look at the clock, and what you're doing now is 12 o'clock. The next thing you should do should be 1 o'clock. And then the next thing should be 2 o'clock, rather than just doing different things. All the business should complement each other. So, like for me, I was a bricklayer, and after I was a bricklayer, I became a small builder. Wasn't really making much money, and then I became a small builder that was specialising in one thing. So
insurance work.
Yeah, so I started making a bit of money at that. Actually, even before that, then, so I was bricklayer. The natural progression for bricklayer is just to do your own building job, and then after that, then we were getting better, basically became a specialist in what we done, and then we start building our own houses. And then we start building our own houses. The next problem was that we couldn't get the money because the banks were just difficult to deal with. So then we built up this pot where we borrow money from people, and that allows us to buy properties, you know. And then when I finished in the construction, the next space then was just to tell other people how I managed to do what I done in the construction. So, you know, if you were to look at my kind of the evolution of my career, so to speak, there's nothing very magic in it. It's just the next step all the time, you know. And now, like, we're chatting in the office and we're great, we're just not doing any small deals anymore. We're going to just aim to do bigger deals. So a bigger deal for us would be like £1 million. So that's what we're going to aim to do now over the next while. So it means now I'm like, when a small deal comes in, I'm just passing it to one of the other guys. I'm not getting involved in that, and I'm trying to just keep my mind open for the bigger stuff, you know. See how far we get with it.
That's the property side. What about the coaching business? Do you do a lot of private coaching as well, or is it mainly your program? Like if somebody calls you, Joe, I want you to, like, you know.
Yes, we have a couple of one-to-one clients, but the vast majority of them are on the program. The program, it's a problem like if someone's coming in wants to hire me for a one-to-one coaching, like it's expensive. It's expensive, right? Yeah. But the thing is, they're not at the point where they've already exceeded what we'd be showing them in the program. Just lads feel they need to get a bit of extra TLC, and they can, but you're better off sticking with it to prove them.
Yeah. People don't realise how valuable time is to people who are doing a lot of stuff. I mean, like, if I'm doing something, I'll probably value in my time at a couple of €100 an hour. You know, if I can get somebody to do it cheaper, I do it. You know. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, even like with this kind of coaching program, for example, and we just call it the Facebook business. Like, we didn't have any path to follow, so we're literally starting from the very, very start, trying to figure things out. Just 2 days ago, we hit 3 million. So we collected £3 million from the program.
No way.
2 days ago, and like the numbers on that was like, it took 32 months to get the first million, and then it took 16 months to get the second million, and then it took 12 and a half months to get the third million. So now we're at the point where I'm like, right, I need to get that down to like 6 months per million, which is 2 million per year. So I'm in my head, I'm like, back to school now. How can I get this? So all these different things that I've been doing, they're no longer working. I have to go back and start again with a new way.
Yeah, something fresh. Have any people from abroad, UK, did your program? Because we've only like 4 million people in Ireland, so you're gonna go through everybody.
Want to run out soon enough? Yeah, that's fine. But you see, like, I probably need, how many people do I need? I don't know. So we put about, I think it's like 2,300 or something through the program now. So if we put 5,000 through it, we'd be fine, you know. But mostly Ireland, few in the UK, and then you get after the UK be Australia, and it's all Irish lads living in Australia, you know. So we're going to expand on that now, and we've a few plans for the new year to see how we go. But like, this is me being kind of backwards, or maybe a bit small time thinking in my program, but like, if you're a client of mine, I just have it in my head, like you've got a problem and something's not working for you. Lucas, where are you? Come up to me, you know. Or I'm down in Cork, right, well, when are you up here again? I'm taking the missus up next weekend. Right, come up to me. I'll clear the day. We just sit in the office and we'll fix the problem. But you can't do that when you're away, you know, when the clients are abroad. But everything is on Zoom and we're all connected now. But I just like the idea of being able to say, look, if there's a problem, just come up to me, we'll fix it for you. Because every single business in the construction space, it's the exact same. The lads are making the same mistakes all the time. I can see it all the time. Like, and they're coming in and they're just giving out about this and that, and they're complaining and they're worried. I'm like, right, okay, you ready now? We got that out of your system. Yeah, deep breaths, right. This is what to do. That won't work. Go and do it and come back to me and tell me it doesn't work, you know. And then like, you fucker, I just told you, you know, it works, you know. And it's very rewarding for us, like, to be able to see lads transform it, you know.
How does it feel, Joe, when you tell somebody to read or listen to a certain book? Because sometimes I have that, but when you look at somebody and you see that they struggle, sometimes you can tell them what book they should open and what chapter should they open. Yeah. You tell them to do it and they still don't do it. They
won't do it, yeah, that's the problem.
It's painful, isn't it?
Yeah, like, so for example, like with our program, like, just to give you an example, like, we just keep changing it and making it better all the time. And what's happening is the people who are difficult to deal with are less likely to come onto the program now, because it's getting more expensive. So the lads that come in and pay the money to start today, you know, they're getting a much higher quality product than the lads that come in 3 years ago. That's why our earnings have, you know, doubled in the program. The sales and all that sort of stuff tripled probably over the last while, is because the product's getting better. So you can get people there that are just not going to listen to you no matter what, you know, and that's...
They can't be helped, yeah.
Uncoachable, which is unfortunate, you know.
Yeah, it is like that, but the world needs people like that, you know what I mean? Because imagine if everybody was like you. Do you know what I mean?
If everybody was a bit more like me, there would be a lot less. There'd be a lot less food in everybody's fridge. Put it that way. But the thing is, like, you can get a guy there, which is what we're noticing now, because like this is now the month 1 of our 6th year. So you can get a guy that is uncoachable today that won't listen to you for various reasons. Not that he's thick or stupid. He might be distracted with family life, or he might be distracted with his business to a certain degree that he's not willing to take this on board. And he'll come back to you in 6 or 12 months' time, and he'll then realise, I wasn't in the right place then. I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah,
and
he couldn't comprehend the knowledge properly at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So like the thing with us is, like, it's all about getting tradesmen to the point where they can make 500 quid profit per day. And like the reason why we're so specific about that is because if you're already making, you know, all that sort of money you're making, you know, if you're turning over 5 million a year, maybe we're not the people for you. But if you're at the point where you're doing, you know, 100, 200 grand, maybe you're doing, well, actually, we've got clients that do $1 million quid. A guy just started, was he doing $1 million quid and he made no money, like. So, you know,
he turned $1 million quid and he made no money?
A small amount of money, like, yeah.
Oh, look, I have some stories as well that I've done.
Oh, we've all been down that road, yeah.
But you have to make those mistakes to understand, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually a very interesting story. So what happened was with that guy, he started up with us and then he didn't follow through on anything. He's a lovely guy, didn't follow through on anything. I'm like, you know, where the fuck's your man gone? Where is he? Like, you know, because like, no bother, the boys come in, they pay the money, and then they just don't follow through. So text me, you know, kind of like tail between the legs, Joe, you available for a chat? Yeah, of course, yeah, I'm delighted to hear from him, because I hadn't heard from him in a while. He's like, look, new year, new me, this what's going to happen. He says, this year, $1 million quid, very little profit. I'm closing the door on it, and I'm going to roll up the sleeves. I'm going to get stuck in from January. I'm like, great. And he's like, I don't even want to look or talk about it from last year. I was like, okay, right, fair enough. And he's telling me all the things. I'm like, okay, do I have permission to kind of jump in here and talk to you about a few things? Like, yeah. I was like, all the problems that you encountered last year, you're going to encounter them again this year. He's like, how? I said, because you haven't resolved them. I said, what you need to do is you need to go back to your business and you need to look and figure out exactly. So let's just say he forecasted 250k profit. And let's say you had 10 jobs, 100k each, with 25k profit. So 10 jobs, 10 jobs, 25k profit, 100k each. You need to go back to each job and figure out which of these jobs you made money on, how much money you made, and how much money you made on them in relation to what you forecast on them. And then we need to go, and the jobs that you made more money on, we need to figure out how that or what went on in that job to allow you to make more money. And the jobs where you lost money, they're the even more important ones. You need to look at them and figure out what exactly went wrong. Maybe you were, you know, miscalculating, maybe it was a miscalculation of materials, maybe it was a miscalculation of time allowed on the job, maybe you had somebody robbing some of your materials, maybe you had a client that was just an absolute fucking nightmare. You know, you have to figure out what it is, and you need to write it in one sentence the exact problem with the job. and then just carry that forward into the new year. Whereas he was like so kind of pissed off with what had happened throughout the year that he couldn't allow himself to go back and look. But I'm like, no, you have to go and do it. So he went and done it, and now we've got all these lessons from last year that we can carry forward. And that's the plan, you know.
Can you tell us the most successful story from one of your clients? Because I'm sure there's probably the one that stands out the most. Somebody who came into you and then it turned... You don't have to mention anybody.
The most successful one. Okay, let me tell you. The thing with myself is it's not about get rich quick. It's about get rich for sure, right? So it's about sticking 100 grand into your bank account. So it's basically about getting to Christmas with 100 grand more than you had the year previous. And the lads do have some ideas to do stuff that's going to, you know, be revolutionary, you know, or evolutionary, whatever you want to call it. Revolutionary if we make this, we're going to make £1 million. I'm like, I don't know, maybe go and get someone else to go and do this. Because I've had loads of people who come to me and they have this plan that they're going to make £1 million in the year, and they don't. Whereas you just follow my pattern. It's plain, it's boring, it's simple, and you're going to get 100 grand. So I've got like loads of clients who've made 100 grand in the year. Typical client that comes on board with ourselves, they've probably been in business 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 years or more, and they've got about 40 grand in the bank. Some of them have 100 grand, and even the guys that have 100 grand, they have 100 grand as a result of all their years in business. And then our plan is to get them another 100 grand, because what's happened is these guys have looked at their bank, it's 199, 110, in and around that, and it's a 6-figure number, and they're comfortable with that, so they never progress beyond that. And then they come in and then they finish the next year with another 100 grand in the bank, and then the next year with another 100 grand. And once they get 100 grand twice, we then just start looking at some property stuff. So I've got dozens and dozens of people. My motto was don't tell me, show me. So they're like, oh Joe, I've got me 100 grand, show me. Show me the bank account.
I've seen the screenshots on your page. That's why I asked for one of the stories. You know,
there's loads of them.
I want to show people that what you're doing there actually, you know, is the deal. You know, it works. You know,
but it's boring. This is the thing. Like, lads come in and I'm like, right, just go and press that button now, and when you press that button, come back and tell me if the light comes on. And what happens if the light comes on? I'm like, no, come back and tell me. And like, yeah, I've done that worked. Okay, now go and do this. And we just do it one step at a time. So it's like, look at the millions and millions of euros out there in the world, and I'm telling lads just to go after this tiny amount, which is 500 quid.
And some of them don't believe it's possible.
Yeah.
At the start, it's crazy, isn't
it?
Yeah. Like, you know, like I look at a lot of different businesses, but if a business doesn't make me 1,000 quid a day, now I'm not talking after tax. If I don't turn over 1,000 quid in the first couple of weeks, I don't even want. It's a waste of time, you know. Yeah,
you need to have clarity on the numbers to know where you stand. Lads just don't. Lads focus on being busy, you know, and it's like there's no medals for being busy. But just to flick back, the most successful client, there's no one has become a millionaire over what I'm showing them, but there's guys that have like 2 or 3 properties now. There's guys that have like 200 grand in the bank from working from working with me for 2 years, but they've been in business 15 years. You know, and they've just accumulated all the cash in the last couple of years. So like that's the norm. Like, you know, we do a 6-month program with the lads, and a lot of lads stay on.
Oh, so you do a 6 month. Could you tell us what programs you do? Because I took your 52 steps, and then I took the 52 steps was the one that I remember the best. You know? So you have that. So
we've got 2 programs. The first one is a 21-day program, and then at the end of the 21-day program, we'll take a couple of lads from that and bring them onto the 6-month program, which is the 52 steps program. Way back when you done it, I think it was 12 months, but because it was initially 12 months, and what was happening was, you know, there was no urgency involved in it. So while we were working with the clients, did you do that? No, I'll do it next week. I'm like, fucking do it now, like, you know. And I'd be going to sleep and I won't be able to, like, I'd go to bed and I won't be able to sleep, and I'd thinking, Jesus Christ, man, that chap has no money in the bank and he's 40 grand in, and if that fella doesn't pay him tomorrow, he's goose, you know. And I'll ring him the next morning, grand. I'm like, are you not fucking bothered by the fact that, you know, you're in trouble here? And they're like, oh really? I'm like, yeah, you need to know this, you know. So when we were doing the program, initially it was 12 months and there was no urgency, so then we just changed the program down to 6 months. And I was just like, the day we changed it to 6 months, lads come in, they sat up straight, like, right, we don't have time to mess about here, because it takes about, you know, at least 30, probably 45 days to learn the pieces that you need to learn, and after that then it's about implementing them and getting the results, you know.
That's big, because a lot of people, you know, they're course junkies. They'll absorb all the information, but they won't apply it, and bad, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's probably the worst. I used to do that as well.
Yeah, like you won't. The problem is as a business owner, like if I just take people on that just want to give me the money, you need them talking really good about you. Like,
do you know what? And that's actually, I remember I wanted to get one of my lads for the program, and he said, "Oh, I'm not just gonna take your money." That's actually so true about you. You're not like the grabbing money man. You know what I mean? And I have to put that to you because that happened to me. You could have just took my money.
I know, yeah, but you see, you think more of me now for not.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I know that you wouldn't have got value out of it because your man didn't do any of his homework really. Yeah. And it's just like, now look, there's nothing to say we couldn't revisit it again, but you're looking at a guy and you're like, I don't know. And the thing is, all these patterns are emerging all the time, right? That you can nearly tell if the guy is going to succeed or not in his business by what he's saying to you based on the previous conversations you had with other people who are like him. These guys may not know each other, they may not be in the same line of work, but there's characteristics
pattern, especially if you deal with them all the time, you can tell, but even by the looking into their eyes.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something. What I've noticed quite a fair bit, right, is that the problem with some of the guys is, right, they keep thinking like a tradesman and they keep doing the work. And I suppose some of the more successful lads on the program, they cannot do the physical work. Either they aren't qualified to do the physical work, or they've done their back in, or they've got an injury of some sort, and they physically can't do the work. So now they have to get other people to do the work. And like I find that myself. I'm walking around some of the jobs that we've got going on with refurbishment works. Like we only do refurbs on our own properties, and I'm like, I'll fucking go down there myself the weekend. I'll get stuck in. I'll have that done, And I could, but and I often did. But it's like it's not the way to do things. We had tenants looking to move into a place there a few weeks ago, and I was literally back on the tools. The builder that was due to start the job retired just as the job started. He says, "Joe, I'm out of here." He says, "I'm about to get me 10 properties, no mortgages. I'm done. I'm finished with this.
Just like that.
I'm going off to Australia to chill out." I was like, "Will you not do this job?" He's like, "Can't." I said, "He can give you whatever, a month or whatever." Legend of a guy he is. And he was gone. So then I had the team, but I didn't have someone to keep an eye on the team. And just the job took a bit longer, so I had to just go down and be on site and kind of give a little bit of direction. And I don't mind doing that, but it's not the most profitable use of my time.
No.
Now, if I want exercise, I go for a run. But it's just not like I'm not at the point where my business is not at the point where I want it to be. So I can't do things just because I want to do them. I need to do things that's best for the business. If that makes sense.
What is your goal?
100 million.
100 million.
Yeah.
100 million of property.
Yeah, 100 million. Net worth of 100 million. So, I have it in my head. I actually tell you the story to this if you want, So I used to have this picture on my wall, right, of Conor McGregor. So you don't have any picture like that here. And he was standing in the octagon, and he had these kind of like little speedo things on him, right? And we'd be chatting and I'd be like, look, because he's my hero. I think he's great. He's one of my heroes.
I love him as well.
He's an absolute headbanger, right? But look at what he's managed to do.
Look, the moment somebody escapes 188 a week and fucking does that, then you can fucking judge him. Other than that, shut the
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's what my thing is about.
Yeah. So I was just so impressed by he went out and just dreamt up this fight with Mayweather and got 100 million or whatever. And I used to say to people, look, I can't see myself getting 100 million, but I could probably do €1 million deal 100 times, right? And then one day I said, I'm like, Joe, why the fuck do you keep saying that to the universe? You can't stop saying that. And then I start saying to people, people ask you what you're going, I'm like, 100 million. And then they'd be like, what, really? Yeah. And they wouldn't get your head. And I wouldn't believe it either. And then I'm like, I said it so much that I actually start believing it. And now I can actually see how it's going to happen. So what's happened for us, like we've got, our property portfolio is like, it's just a bit shy of 20 million, right? And the last 3 deals that we're after doing were €1 million deals. And they just happened just by kind of coincidence. I didn't set out to do €1 million deals, but they were deals that were the right deal to do. And they just happened to be £1 million, right? So now I'm like, wow, I'm after doing £3 million deals back to back. We're at 20 million. So if I just keep operating at the same pace that I've been operating at with €1 million deals, in another 10 years, I'll easily be at 100. I'm like, wow.
All I did is another 70 gaps or something like that.
Yeah. All I need to do is do the same amount of business that I've done already, but do it at £1 million level, right? And then once I get to 100 million, it's easy to go to 200 million. And if I get 100 million valuation, and then I just do the same again well then half will be debt and half will be equity.
Yeah.
And it's not that difficult because I can actually see it happening like in my head, you know.
Yeah, I'd love to see your goals when you do hit that 100 million, because I know people usually that's when they start exploding.
Yeah, just go to $1 billion, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I know, like, I know where I'm selling myself short on a daily basis. Like, I can see that I'm so focused on the smaller numbers that it's actually getting in the way of the bigger stuff. But my whole thing is like, get rich for sure, you know. Like, I'll always bet on the safe bet. Oh no, I don't do any betting, but I just.
So yeah, Joe, you touch off something there. You said that you wouldn't be saying those words to the universe because the universe listens to you, which is true. I believe that with my soul. I write my goals all the time. But do you do any of the law of attraction stuff? I mean, do you practice any of the meditation techniques or anything like that?
No, don't do any of that meditation stuff. But I was chatting to a guy there the other day, and he was actually educating me on something. I was like, geez, I do that all the time. So, like, meditation for me is running. Like
it's a form of meditation.
Is it? Yeah, because I would be running, and I'm like, did I just run that far? You know, and you'd be running. But he was explaining to me about this mindfulness, and he's like, it's thinking, but thinking about thinking. I'm like, that's mad, right? So sometimes I go to bed and I can't sleep, and your head be wrecked because you're tossing and turning. But then, nowadays, I'm like, right, if I can't sleep, great. Here's now an opportunity, and I just sit there and I just think, what will I do with this? What will I do with that? What if that works out? I can do this. If that doesn't work out, I can go here. And I'm just thinking, and he's telling me this is a form of mindfulness meditation. Now, obviously, some of your listeners might be, what, you don't even know what you're talking about, Joe. Yeah, they're right. I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's just like, I find myself having thinking time, and it helps me get clarity on stuff. And then I'll just be on the phone. I'll be messaging Paddy, like, who works with me at about 3 in the morning. I'm not having an idea, you know. And that kind of works for me. But like, I'm very kind of skeptical of anything that doesn't involve action. Like 100% the law of attraction works, 100% all that sort of stuff. It's good, and I'm going to have to start getting tuned into a little bit of Joe Dispenza, because he's very good at that sort of stuff, because some of the crazy stuff that's happening for us over the last while, I'm like, that is so weird how that's just happened, and that's just fell into place. And, you know, me and Paddy be just looking saying, how did that happen for us? Like, how did that happen at that exact moment of time?
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it's because you're like you're pushing for it, you know. But like, two of the things that I'd be skeptical of is, you know, the 4-hour work week.
I read that, but total bullshit. But the way I looked at it,
he's a big operator. Like, he's a clever guy. He's made a lot of money, you know.
Oh yeah, I've seen his other book, Titans.
Very good. Have you got it there? Did I see that there?
No, I brought it with me to Spain. I left it there.
Oh yeah, I've read that one. It's a great book. Like, but the 4-hour work week and The Secret, they appeal to people who are not willing to put effort in. And I think that's so. If you, like, you know, like, a lot of people don't, like 100% of the people who don't like what I'm about are lazy. Every single one of them that just disagree with what I say. Because like, what am I doing? I'm telling people to work harder, work smarter, you know, be a bit more determined, charge a little bit more for the good service you provide, and use that money to create wealth for your family. And people are uncomfortable with that, because if I was to say to people, listen, just stay in your house and just do this and do this and do this, and everything would be great, you'd get more.
Yeah. That's where haters come from, isn't it? No, you have I have a few of them myself, you know. I think you have way more followers, so you have way more haters, you know.
I've got a hater department in the office to deal with them, you know.
Yeah, you have. I'd say you do. Yeah. What's the best way to deal with haters? Because I use them as fuel. Whenever I get a stupid comments on TikTok, I use it as a fuel. I answer them, and then it goes woo, and then I get views. Yeah. Well, look, see, the thing, it's about attention, you know. Like, it's about like. At this point in time, the only reason why I'm not closer to my 100 million is because I haven't been operating at the level that I want to operate for long enough, you know. And that's because not enough people know me. So there's not enough people know me that want to sell houses. There's not enough people know me that want to lend money to me. There's not enough tradesmen know me. Yeah, if more people knew me, because like if you're a builder and everybody knows you, like, you can't do all the work. But my model is quite scalable in what I do. So if more people knew me, I would be able to do more. So the game is attention. And actually, I'll give you a laugh there, right? So we'd be sitting in the office, and I'd spend a good portion of the time on the calls with clients, and I'd leave the door open, and Alan would be in the other office, and he'd leave his door open because he likes listening in on the calls, and he'd know the names because he's at the onboarding these guys onto our program. And I'm like, oh, fair play, you're 50 grand to your 100 grand, and he'd be like, oh, is that Tony? I remember talking to him 4 months ago. I was like, yeah, brilliant, right? So he'd be buzzing. But he's like, Joe, the reach is down on the page, you know.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it in a minute. Like I'll come up with something. So basically he's like, Joe, put a video out or do something. But I was just busy with something. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, just haven't got a minute. Like, what will I do, right? And I was like, right, okay, Ali, you ready for this? And he's like, yeah, go for it. So he's expecting me to do a video. So I put a post out. I was like, if you're unemployed now, chances are it's because you're a bum, right? And that was all I said. Right, and I was like, watch what's going to happen here. And there was absolute killings on the page. Actually, I didn't say if you're unemployed. I said if you're on the Doyle now, the chances are it's because you're a bum, right?
I think I might have seen that.
You probably did. Oh, this thing went mad, like, right?
How many views did you get on that one?
Oh no, this was just a post that we just put out because I didn't have time to make a video. I had to do something, right? I was like, let's just stir the pot a little bit. And there was like thousands of people, like literally thousands of comments on it. Who do you think you are and all? And Alan was like, Joe, I think you might need to delete that. I was like, well, what's the views on the page? He's like, it's through the roof. I was like, well, leave it, you know. And we just left it for a while, but then I was like, no, I have to delete that because
did you delete it?
It was the only time I've ever deleted that on Facebook, and I'm raging I done it now. I shouldn't have deleted it. I should have just left it there, just for the crack, you know. But it was just like you're playing the game of attention.
Yeah.
You know.
You've done another one. You've done the one when you walked through the house and you said, oh yeah, we're going to put a few people there, there. That went to the newspapers, didn't it?
That was mad.
Tell us that one.
So what actually happened with that as well is TikTok came out, and I had a guy doing some camera work for us, and he was just taking the stuff that we were using and he was repurposing it, but it wasn't the right stuff for TikTok. And I was like, oh, TikTok's crap, it's brutal. And then I said to the guys, no, look, we need to have a crack at this. So we sat down and we made a couple of little videos. So the first one that we done, we're putting a bit of thought into, was like, here's how we got this house for free. And I basically showed how I got house for free, and it got like, you know, I don't know, 800k views, something like that. It was really good, you know. So I was like, okay, right, we've kind of sussed what we can do here. And then he says, right, let's do another one now. And we just test the outrage emotion. So at the time, I'd bought a house in my estate, just literally right around the corner from my sister. So I didn't mind going around disrespecting the house, because like, if you're going to move into a house belonging to me, I'm not going to start saying this house a kip, like, you know, because then it's not fair, like, on you. But because it was my sister was moving into it, she didn't care. So I'm making the video, I'm like, yeah, look, we're going to stick 6 bunk beds in the sitting room here, take out, what we say, what we saying, oh jeez, look, it's that long ago now. Basically, like, it's €100 extra for a dog. Put one family upstairs, one family downstairs. There was killings over it, you know. Well, it was very funny, but it was kind of funny, like, is that a joke or is that guy serious, you know? And then it was in all the newspapers, and
Independent and all.
Oh yeah, then RTE rang me, and will you come in into the radio? I was like, yeah. I went in, they grilled me. I was like, oh, that was horrendous, like, you know. And then when I left, like, FM 104 rang me, and they thought it was hilarious, you know. And we're just doing all these interviews for the last few days, and even if you Google it, I was like, yeah, pack them tight and collect the money. That's what I was saying. But if you Google it now, it still comes up, like, you know.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. But look, I didn't care, like, you know. But like, the thing was, the people that were looking for something to give out about, they were going to give out about something anyway. So then they had something. Yeah. And you know, it was like politicians were sharing it and all, giving out. 3 politicians shared it, slating it, you know. And then it was like, you know, when they realised it was a joke, I was like, you fucking idiots, like, you know. But they were just looking for a reason to be outraged. But that's one of the things, like, people are always looking for a reason to be outraged.
Yeah, and that's I want listeners to have some value out of the podcast. So, you know, one of the good lessons should be as well, you know, don't be thinking about what other people think about your stuff. Do you know what I mean? People often say to me when they ask me for some advice, they say, man, 5 TikToks how they do this, be ridiculous, and the stupider it is, the better it is on TikTok. That's the truth these days, you know. But you can't take seriously the negative comments on it. Use them as fuel.
No, that, like, I don't even bother with them. I
no, you don't.
Them.
You're an Iron Man in this stuff. I mean, when we were talking about listeners who never posted a video of themselves, they might be thinking, "Oh, how do I look? How do this?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so, like, the thing is, like anybody, like, if you do the most, like, I know you, right? I respect what you do. If you do the most stupidest fucking thing in the world online, I don't really care. You know, I'm not going to think any less of you. I'm busy. You know, so the guy who has a genuine opinion to the point where he has nothing to do, and when he go back onto your page and slate you, chances are he's living in his box bedroom. Sex life is purely internet based. You know, he's not getting any female attention or something like that's the story. You should just leave them be.
Yeah, like, because I've never seen a guy who is a true doer Like, have you ever find yourself on TikTok commenting on other people's stuff? Like, that doesn't happen.
No.
Doers don't do that shit,
No, I just don't. And the other thing is like if you're out there as an entrepreneur or just as a person, right? And what are you gonna do when the recession comes? What are you gonna do when the interest rate comes? What are you gonna do? Nothing to be happy, right? You're fat, you're skinny, you're bald, you're this or that, right? The people who are getting that said to them, like, there's nobody can say any comment to me that I haven't said to myself a million times over. Oh fuck, Joe, what are you gonna do when this happens? What are you gonna do when that happens? I've thought about it. So it's like as if they're saying to you and it's some kind of new revelation, I just wouldn't be paying attention to it at all, But like I am like, what would you call it? I don't know, like I am unbullyable online. I just don't care, because what people seem to forget as well is like I've got the power to eliminate them from my digital world by just blocking them. Why do I not block them? Because more engagement on my page.
Yeah. I used to block people all the time, but I stopped.
No, don't block them. Leave it. If somebody, actually, there's one guy who was just constantly writing nonsense on the page, right? And then he wrote a comment there the other day. He said, "You ruined Christmas. I never got my book." And I sent him a message back saying, "Send me your email address and I'll check," because I'll bring it down to him. Like, because I was thinking, geez, did we really, like, did he buy that for his dad or his brother or something, Because like I was literally up and down the post box 3 times a day at Christmas just to get the books banged out. Well, no, for the last couple of days, like, and he didn't respond. And then I took his name and I'm searching to say no such thing at all. So this guy's just writing silly comments all the time, and I'm fine with that. But when he starts potentially injuring the reputation of my business, I just blocked him. Like, right, get out of here. Like, why should you be here? You're saying I've done a bad job, and you didn't even buy it on me. Or if somebody if somebody was unhappy with and I done, they just ring me and they'll talk to them. But when someone was constantly saying, like, here, so that was the probably the first one in a long time that I've blocked. Or if somebody threatens you or something like that, if somebody threatens me, I normally just screenshot it, take a few screenshots of their profile, post that, and then I block them, because I'm just not dealing with nonsense like that. But look, people just being critical of stuff like that, you leave them.
What I want to emphasize to people is that you should overcome it as quickly as you can, shouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Because it's
overcome it, yeah.
Yeah, because it's hard at the start. I remember at the start I was taking seriously everything I saw over there. You know what I mean? Well, I keep telling people that whatever business somebody is in, if they record 5 TikToks per day, it can explode their business, because you can get like 10,000 followers on TikTok in 4 weeks, no problem. If you just do it right and do it actually 5 videos a day, but they don't. And they always say the same thing, because I have a program here where I actually invite people and they do a TikTok screen and all,
Very good,
people, and they always say the same thing, the comments.
They don't like the comments?
Yeah.
That's mad. I didn't, I don't know.
A lot of people...
Do people that comment, are they even real people?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't pay much attention.
See, the thing is, like for me, like, I think, like I'm fairly focused on what I do. Like, I just, even like what I say to guys, like, if you look at I just don't pay attention to it. I just don't get involved, and I just stay focused, do my job. The reason why it took so long to get me here, a few minutes down the road, is because I didn't have time. I'm like so focused on getting the new house, so focused on some of the other stuff. I just like didn't take a minute off, and like the whole world could be like falling down around me. And I'm just like focusing on the thing that's...
It's great when you get to that level, Every day is just, getting closer to your stuff,
Yeah, well, like, thankfully, my missus does a top-class job of keeping the house in order and keeping the family in order and keeping absolutely everything in order, because I just focus on the business,
that's the perfect scenario. Let's get into some of the business tips, Joe. What do you think is the most important business skill? Now, in my head, it would be obviously sales, Yeah. You think it's sales as well?
Hey, well, if you can't sell it, and you're not going anywhere if you can't sell.
Would you have any tips for people? Because in my head, if once your phone keeps ringing, you can save it. Your business will, would you have any tips for people? How do they make the phone ring?
Okay, first tip is have a target. Have one target. And then the second tip is to eliminate all distractions. So that's what I say to people at all times. Have a target. If it's not 500 quid a day, is it 50 quid a day? Is it 100 quid a day? Is it 5 grand a day? Have a target. And once you decide on that target, eliminate all distractions. If you're managing the football team, that's a distraction. You know, the kids' football team, you're managing, that's a distraction. If you're playing sport at a high level, that's a distraction. If you have more than one business, that's a distraction. If your missus is an absolute fucking fruitcake, that's a distraction. If you're in bad health, that's a distraction. If you've got family members that have bad health, that's a distraction. If you don't physically have somewhere to work, that's a distraction, you know. And you need to eliminate all them. And obviously, you know, some people are unfortunate that they have to deal with health issues and whatever else they're either physical or mental. And you just have to get on with it. But if you didn't have them distractions, things would be easier, you know. So if you pick a target and eliminate all distractions, there's pretty much nothing that you can't achieve, in my view, you know.
You become unstoppable. But the problem is, I think the biggest problem people have is when they watch TV, because they're literally programmed, you know. They're programmed into
a fucking program, yeah.
TV program. They're programmed into misery. I try not to talk too much about it on the podcast, you know, because it's a kind of you know, everybody does watch TV, and when you tell people that they fucking shouldn't be doing it, and you know, like, you become their enemy, then, you know.
Just leave them be. They learn sooner or later, you know.
Yeah, no, but the idea of this podcast is to help people. So how the fuck am I going to help people?
Well, actually, I'll tell you, there's a bit of conflict in my house at the moment. So my New Year's resolution was, I will not stand in the same room that EastEnders is on. And my missus is like, will you just get over it? I like watching it. I was like, watch it. I have no issue with you watching it, but I will not be in the same room when that's on. And I just won't be in the same room. And I just stand at the door in the hall, and I call the baby out, and we go in the kitchen, and I just play with the baby, you know. And that's Linda's thing. She likes a little bit of downtime, but I just won't be in the room when that's on, you know.
I love it.
And then, like, you know, if I'm having my dinner, I'll have like YouTube on. I'll be watching something like a documentary or something like that. I'll watch that sort of stuff. Like, there's a lot, like these tools are there, and they can be helping you or making you worse, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly true. So I'd have two TVs in the house, but none of them would be connected to the whatever the UPC or whatever. You know, it's all YouTube. You know?
Yeah, because there's so much stuff you can learn on YouTube.
Subscribe to guys like yourself or whoever is in there. Let
me tell you something I learned on YouTube before, right? And this is just something that I learned, right? I was watching some kind of interview with Grant Cardone and someone else, and some guy got on the phone and said, Grant, come do a podcast with me. He says, I'll spend $5,000 just promote it, right? And I'm like, that's Cardone. You don't need to spend any money promoting that with Cardone, because he's a big superstar. And then I start researching, like, all the big boys spend a fortune promoting their podcasts at the start. Yeah, and that's what I was saying to you, like, are you promoting that? And like, the whole thing of organic is just it doesn't work that way no more, in my eyes, unless you get lucky, you know. And
no, you got me thinking here, because we don't promote it, but it does get the views. But we're gonna put a promotion on this one probably.
I think you should, like, so when we're doing that, and like, so we're at the point now where we're getting ready to spend 30 grand a month on advertising, because we couldn't spend that amount of money because we didn't have the infrastructure.
What platform would that go towards?
So that would be Facebook and Instagram, and we, like, you'd end up spending money on Google as well, but we're not spending money on Google at the minute. So I'm thinking, if I get this amount of clients from a 3 grand ad spend, if I spend 10 times that, I'll get 10 times the amount. But it's just like, you know, taking the car from 10 mile an hour to 100 mile an hour, not all of them can go that distance until you fix them up and stuff like that. And that's what we've been doing. And there's so much shortcuts available. Shortcuts are available by just spending money or by buying access to other people.
You know? And your business program is great because it's scalable that way. You can manage 1,000 people.
Yeah, now we can. Like, so when we do a 21-day program, we've done it about 30, 40 times now. I don't know the exact amount. And we used to have, make sure I don't tell you this wrong now. So I'd speak to each person on the program 3 times. So let me see. I remember it was 270 calls that I'd make in 21 days, you know. But these are long calls. My voice would be gone like, yeah, Linda, we made a few quid this month. And she's like, your voice is gone. I was like, I might have been on the phone for whatever amount of hours, right? So it was like every third person that we spoke to would be suitable for the program at that exact time. So every third person. So some of them wouldn't be suitable. Some of them would say no. Some of them would do it later on. So it would be. So it was like, what's 135 divided by 3? It was 270 calls. So it was 270 calls, and we basically had 45 people on the program. That's what it was, yeah. So I'd speak to 135 people. I'd get 45 on the program, and then I'd speak to those 45 people 3 more times. So somebody be listening to this now, like, you can't even fucking add up, right? But it was 270 calls, and then I'm like, right, this now works. How do I reduce the number of calls? And now I have it down to like about 20 calls, like. But now that that's gone down, it means I can put more people onto the program. So we're excited about that, you know. So now we go for 70 people on the program. It's actually better when there's 70 people on the program because you get all sorts of.
And do they talk? Are they able to talk to each other?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. That, like, you know, they get all sorts of different conversations and different kind of walks of life, and there's good learning in it, you know. And it seems to be the actual sweet spot. Whereas I thought, the smaller the number, the more attention I could give them. But there's this kind of like dynamic of group learning that kind of emerges, which is very good. You know, I'm like, why didn't I do this ages ago? Now I don't have the bandwidth currently to go more than that. And most of those guys would be all in Ireland. Probably like you might have 20% that's not in Ireland at any given time. So they all know somebody that knows somebody on it. So that kind of works as well. But it's just a constant state of learning and tweaking, you know.
There was a guy in I can't remember, he was somewhere in the UK, and he asked me some business question or something, and I said, here, why don't you just take, because I always refer people to you, and he said, I actually know him, he was in the UK, he knew about
cool,
you.
That's good, so I need to up my game there and get more known.
Yeah, you should probably run it over there as well. He said, why not? It's a fucking huge market. I'm moving there with a couple of things. When I looked at the numbers, there's only 4 million people over here.
Yeah. I only need like 5,000 and I'll get everything I want financially from it. So I'm like, 5,000, can I get that? Like that's all it is, you know.
Yeah, it's probably achievable. Yeah, why not?
No, it is. So like I always use the analogy when I'm talking to the guys. It's actually just a mad thing that really happened me like in real life. So years ago, I was about 16 and I was out fishing with my uncle, and we're down the Liffey, and I'm standing at one side of the Liffey and we're fishing for pike, and I'm getting the fishing rod and I'm belting it across the far side of the Liffey. And there's a fella on the far side and he's belting his rod. I said he's belting his rod far across me, but he's casting out to my side. I'm like, why is he trying to get his over here and I'm trying to get mine over there? And when you're going fishing for pike, you'll have a big heavy rod, and then you'll have a smaller light rod for catching smaller fish, and you could use them for bait. And I then remember just walking up and just dropping the line into the water, and we caught more fish there than we've ever caught. And I'm like, this is the secret to success. It's not doing what everyone else is doing and just looking at
under your nose.
It's right there. And like even now, like I put a picture up there a while ago saying, don't the property investing tip number 1: don't buy any property that you can't run to. And all my houses are literally all around where I live.
In around Clondalkin.
Yeah. So I can, I've got one or two that are a little bit further afield, but like the vast majority of them are literally I can run to them. And if I've got to go down and see someone and have to do a run, I just run down. It's not one or the other, So it's like, kind of engineering things that are suitable for yourself. So yeah, look, absolutely 1,000,000%. I should be over in the UK, but I haven't finished my business here yet.
You
don't give back
resources to go through.
You don't need the main course until you finish the starter. That's my thinking, And I have this thing in my head: if something doesn't work for someone, just drive up to me, come down to me. Where are you? Because it has to work for them. Because like we've got, we've had we say there 2,300 people or something like that at the minute. And we've got 550 Google reviews. So that's a good percentage.
That's probably
from one to the other.
You're probably the most reviews from anybody I know in any business in Ireland. Who has more reviews than you? You probably have more reviews than.
I don't know. When you go book a hotel, them boys seem to have like thousands of reviews.
Oh yeah, well fair enough, hotel.
But no, stick it down. But like not nothing else. Yeah. But you see, it just goes to, like, I think I'm potentially strangling the growth of the business because I'm so focused on, delivering a top class job for every single person, so focused on these like that. I actually do think that I'm strangling the business. And
but look, you're following your passions. I mean, maybe it's not all about you're following your passion. You're doing exactly what you love. So it's
but I do need to operate at a bigger level. Like I know I do, but I'm like, look, we'll get there. We'll see how this year pans out. We hit our target this year.
So I have another property question, because I have a couple of questions lined up in my head, for the viewers, and I've asked this question before, but I want to hear your opinion on it, Right. Is this a right time to buy a gaff? This is my question, tell us about family home and a property investment, because there's a lot of people who say that, the interest rates is the one that bugs people, because they reckon that they might get so high at one stage that, it might defeat the purpose of owning a house, when they go so high,
Look, I've done 3 million quid deals in the last 4 months, so there you go.
Do you always, and when you talk to the bank, do you get your interest rates locked, or what do you do?
Sometimes they're fixed, sometimes they're variable. Traditionally, a fixed rate mortgage, so the bank will say, okay, the variable rate is 4%, so let's cover ourselves on the 4% and then stick another 1 or 1.5 on top of that in case a rise goes up, and then they make their cream. So traditionally, the fixed rate mortgage was always higher than the variable. However, when we came out of the credit crunch and liquidity came back to the market, the banks wanted to stop people moving from one bank to another. So the fixed rates were cheaper over the last while, and that's going to change again now because the rates are going to rise. So I was just saying there, over the weekend, Perm and TSB have increased their fixed rate. So they're a little bit slow to react sometimes, and sometimes they're fast to react. So the variable rates now are cheaper than the trackers. Sorry, variable rates are cheaper than the trackers, yeah, because the trackers gone. So it's all changing all the time. Like the one constant in the property space is change, if that makes sense. Things are always changing, but the time is never a good time to do a bad deal, and the time is it's always a good time to do a good deal.
Yeah, I suppose in all times you can find a good and you can find a bad deal, But
it's easier in a bad time to do business.
Because if you have the dollar, yeah.
Yeah, because all the amateurs are scared shitless and they've ran away, and those that are in for the long haul are.
And do you do any property training as well?
Yeah, so we had a property training program that we were running for a while, and I just stopped that to focus on the business one. So we just stopped that. But now there's property training as part of this. So if somebody comes in and so the whole goal is to get them to 500 quid a day, 10 grand a month, 120 grand in the year, get 200 grand in the bank and buy a house. So if a guy does a year with me, he'll have 100 grand, maybe a little bit more after that, and you might do a second term. So that's actually a 6-month term, and then so the way we do it is if a guy comes on and does 6 months, and if he wants to do a second term, so we allow him to do 12 months on the second term. So he'll either do 6 months or 18 months with us, and by which stage he'll be just about ready to buy the property. He'll be probably a few months away, and then in some cases then he'll stay on just to get the property deal over the line, But I'm not to lose my train of thought there. Why were we saying that?
No, we were talking about we can switch to the commercial property as well, because you said that you want to get bigger and bigger deals as well, But have you ever thought about building an apartment block? Like let's say 4 apartments in it. To me, it doesn't sound like a big deal,
Yeah, look, I built probably about 10, 12 houses. I still have
from the scratch?
Most of them. Yeah, because that's my gig as a builder. But then I realised I could buy houses cheaper than the cost to build. Like the house that you build today is a different quality of house than what you buy today that's second hand. Like they've all got renewable energy. Most of them are A rated or very close to A rated. They're a different house altogether today than back then. So the cost to build is through the roof. So with
the price of wood and everything.
At the price of everything, I would say anybody selling a new house for less than 350 grand is it's just about breaking even, I'd say, nowadays. Because when you think about if 350 grand, 13.5% VAT, so let's say 40 grand, just round numbers. Someone will work it out there and let us know in the comments. So that's 310. The site has to be worth 100 grand. Say even if it's only worth 90 grand. So that's 220. So you're not going to have much change out 220 to build a house, considering you have to pay the council 15 grand. So that's 205. Then you've got your ESB, your Irish Water, Bord Gosh if you have them. That's another, say, 5 grand. It's not that much. Then you've got your sign-off fees from the architects.
No wonder when you're looking at the houses over there, no wonder they're in around 500, 600 grand nowadays.
Yeah, so that's the problem. And again, there was something they mentioned there the other day that they're looking at doing, giving a grant to developers to build. They have to. Even the cost per square metre to build an apartment is huge, because they're not that spacious, and yet you've got a kitchen, you've got a bathroom, you've got a parking space, you've got underground, So
I was talking to Shane Fleming, and he was saying that the apartments, there was a change of regulations as well, and it's getting harder and harder in the apartment business because they need the lift, they need
fire exits. Yeah,
the fire exits. So it changed a lot in the past couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. And all that's doing, what that's doing is, let's just say that you've got the most expensive part of Dublin, just say Dublin 4. All them changes are just making it only possible to be profitable in them areas. And then as you go to the suburbs, it's just not worth building. And for me, I'm why should I build? When I was building, I was the guy on the tools. I was doing the work. I'm it's a lot of hard work building a house. There's a lot of effort into it, And of course, you bring in your builder, and then you've got the headspace of managing him. But just buy the fucking house down the road for less than what it costs to build. That's the thing. And then there's another issue with that, is that they're not up to the energy rating, so maybe over time they're going to want to make a change that and all that. So it's fine, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it,
So you never looked into building an actual apartment, because that's what's in
I
my
did.
head.
No, I did.
So
Loads of times, it's just not financially viable for me. It's not the best use of my time.
That's good. That's a good lesson. You know what I mean? Because it makes sense. Because you can buy if you can buy a gaff for 250. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
there's houses out there still for 253 even. If you're lucky, isn't there?
Yeah, well, when you I buy properties in like kind of the rough enough areas, so they're cheap enough around there. That's the advantage of growing up in the shithole, I know the Clondalkin is not like our place was rough enough growing up, but it's grand now. Like
I know, yeah. It's actually very much different because of the cameras and everything, the social media and all. There's not, back in the day it was different. I didn't experience it. I just heard from the stories. Back in the 80s.
But you see, the problem is like if you grow up in like a really, if you grow up in a place where I want my kids to grow up, you're not going to get the life experience that I got growing up, and you'd just be a little bit weaker. Like you just won't be used to it, Whereas I find like in the ex-council estates that's a little bit rough. Like I'll buy a house there, I'll rent it to somebody from the area. A girl wants to live near her ma, she's happy out. Like I'm nothing but respectful to her. She's delighted that I'm not a difficult landlord. Something breaks, she rings the office, we fix it. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, and you have a full team. Like if there's a person who answers the calls, and there's a guy maintenance guy. Yeah. That's why it's so easy. It's easier once you have more properties, because if you don't have them, there's a pain in the arse. Like I'm renting at the moment. My lord, if anything gets broken, he gets the call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I can't make sense of what he's making on this house. I mean, because to him, he told me it's a pain in the arse. He told me he wants to sell the house, but he said if he sells it, the tax and all this, he said it's not worth it. So he says it's just there.
Keep it. So which is the bigger pain in the ass, to keep it or to sell it?
Yeah, that's what he said. He doesn't know what to do.
But like some of the deals that I've done, I wouldn't do again. Actually, did you see that time I got to speak to Grant Cardone?
Yeah, of course. I've
seen it. So
I follow you all the time.
So I was I got a chance to speak to him on the phone, and
how many times? Once?
No, I've met him like a few times, but that was just one time I was in my gaff and I got to speak to him on the phone. And if you're gonna go and speak, like I see people all the time, like they get an opportunity to speak to some big influential person, and they try to impress him by telling them how great they are. Look, he doesn't care, how big you are, because no matter how big you are, it's small in comparison to him. So I just wrote down all the questions. Like, look, when you get an opportunity to speak to someone like that, don't tell them anything, just ask questions, And I was like, look, at the time I was at 12 million. I was like, Grant, I'm at 12 million. How do I go to 100 million? And we're just a little bit back and forth. But basically he said, just sell everything and start again. And everybody's like, the cheek of him saying that,
sell everything.
And start again.
That's what he said.
Yeah, and people are like saying he just kind of, brushed you off at that comment, but like I put a bit of thought into it. Like he's dead right, because there's some of the deals that I done that I wouldn't do again, and the deals that I'm doing now, there was nothing stopping me from doing them 4 or 5 years ago, only for I didn't have the knowledge and the data to be able to do them. So now I have to do them. So if I just got rid of them all and started again, I just start only with what I'm doing now. So it made perfect sense, So I've kind of technically started again on a new level, but I didn't sell everything, But maybe I should. But
I should probably apply that into my life. I mean, because I have so many different businesses scattered all over the place.
Get rid of them all. Get rid of them all. Just keep the most profitable one.
I should do that. Yeah,
that's my belief.
Yeah.
But look, sometimes people.
This year I'm gonna do that. Yeah, because I have too much things going on. It's swallowing my time.
Yeah, and it's like you spend so much time like between things where you're not doing anything fully, like you're half between here. So we're doing this piece of business and somebody's ringing you about something completely different over there. Like even like the last house that I built was the one that my last home, and at that time
Did you live in it?
Yeah, that was the last one I built. I haven't moved out yet into the new house, but I'm moving out soon. But when I was building that house, I wasn't a builder anymore. I was the owner of a company then. And I had to go from running the company during the day to getting the work done in the evening. And it took ages to get the job done, because even though I knew both businesses, they were just completely contradictory. Because if I was just a builder all the time, I'd be like, yeah, look, nip down there, get that done when you're finished. come up here to this job or that job, because I was like literally in an office all day and then going back to that. It was just two completely separate things.
How many hours a day were you smashing at the time?
I just work every hour.
Yeah, I know, but I want to show. Some people think that the 10 hours is a lot. 12 hours is a lot. if you do things on the scale that you do, you work 18 hours, no problems, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't work from 7 p.m. till about 9:30. So basically, I'm in the house and I'm there with the baby, and then when she goes to bed, I'll just jump back on. Like I'm getting a bit sick of it, to be honest, because I've been doing it constantly for years now.
People say you're lucky. That's
yeah. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter where I don't need to work as much, but I'm not there yet. But I will be soon enough, I think. But sometimes you're like, I wouldn't mind, but I'm just so in the zone all the time, and I can see the progress I'm making, and I can see the growth, so I enjoy it. But I wouldn't mind. Like, I'd like to do a bit more running. I'm not doing as much running as I'd like to do. I'd like to do a little bit more training. I'm not doing as much of that, but that's only because the baby's 3 now in a couple of weeks. So, not since she was born, but since she was about like 8 months, since she started becoming her own little person. Every day it's something new, so I want to be there with her. So I had to either give up the hours I was working or give up training. So I just cut back.
The odd run.
I run like, I train most days, but like I do 10k max now, where I used to be like doing 60k and all, Yeah,
60K.
I just go out, start running at like, 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning, back about 9 o'clock in the night after running for the entire day. It's
Could
beautiful.
you do that?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I loved it. It's great, like.
Whoa. So you run out at 7 o'clock in the morning and back in the night. Holy moly. And would you eat during the day?
Oh yeah, you couldn't not eat, but like you do, maybe that's probably a bit, but I suppose by the time you go and you get set, you'd be running for 10 hours, like, but like some beautiful places around the mountains to be running, like, and you'd be running through trails, and sometimes you're running nearly at like a walking pace, a hiking pace, so it's not as if you're sprinting for that long, but I love doing it, and I'm not doing it now at the minute. So I always say to the lads on the programme, my goal is when I get the programme to where I want to be, I'm going to take Fridays off. So we do a session on a Thursday evening. It's like 9:30 till about, sometimes it goes till 11:30, sometimes even longer, And my plan is, if I can get that to be my last piece of business for the week, go out Friday, and then I'll jump on and do a bit of work on a Saturday. But that's my last kind of structured piece, and go out all day Friday. That'll be success to me,
Yeah, sounds good.
It's mad that, like, the more that I'm just making a bit of progress, I just like basic things, just like running, and I hung 2 bird feeders in the new house, and I'm just looking at all the finches eating the seed. I'm like, this is great. Seeing a fox today, I thought was amazing. Like, just silly little things like that. I don't know. I think I'm a hippie deep down.
You're a vegetarian or vegan?
I just don't eat meat. Yeah. No, I was a vegan for age, but I don't even use that word no more, because people, like, you kind of paint yourself into a corner. I don't eat meat and I don't eat dairy. That's really it. But I'll tell you, if people wanted a life hack, knock the meat on the head, man. Like, it's a game changer.
There's a couple of sides of the story. The reason why I would do it is not to eat the meat from the shop. I would have a problem with that. I wouldn't have any problem with eating meat that was, naturally, let's say.
Yeah, someone went out and shot it. Something.
Yeah. I'm even going as far as going to join a place like that.
To a what? Sorry.
Do a bit of hunting.
Guys,
But the meat from the shop is something completely, because I used to work on places that produce all that stuff. And oh man, and the problem is the food that they feed it with. There's so many chemicals, so it doesn't go off. And the guy I was talking to actually last week, he said he wonders how come we don't glow in the dark with all the chemicals we eat in this stuff.
He's right. Yeah, whereas like I've always said this, like, that I should probably like write a book called Caveman Economics.
Caveman Economics sounds catchy.
Yeah, I should probably buy the domain now today. But the Caveman Economics, right? Because I actually view myself as a caveman. Like, if you ask me to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to say this and that. If you ask me to do something, it's going to get done. And back in the day, we were out there, chasing bleeding wild pigs with sharpened sticks, to feed the family. Nowadays, we're using iPhones and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. But I just think it's just keep it very, very basic. And like some of the food that's highly processed, like I don't eat any processed food at all, you know.
Anything that comes from a packet, and when I say that to people, what do you eat then? You know, they don't understand. Well, anything that comes from a packet and it's pre-made, it's no good.
Just be careful. Now the thing for me, like sugar is my fucking downfall, like, you know. Like if I just have a bit of sugar, like if I went into my house and I ate a biscuit, I would eat the entire packet. And then and like Linda's a fucking weirdo. Like she'll buy like a bar of chocolate and she'll have one square every day with her tea in the morning. I'm like, you can't leave a half-eaten bar of chocolate there. I'll just eat it, you know. So I would go for like months and months without having any of that, and then I know if I just eat one piece of it, that's it. The floodgates are open. So
I'd have that when I have an odd smoke. I don't smoke weed, but I smoke it once in 3 months or something when I'm you know, with some friends or something. That's when it happens.
You get the munchies, It's just it's sugar really is the enemy. Like.
Grant said it on his podcast, on one of his videos, that he doesn't drink a lot of alcohol because of the fact that there's sugar in it. So he would be even going that far.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, I suppose I had a couple of Heineken Zeros the weekend. There's probably sugar in that, you know. I have to be careful of that. But I can feel it. Like, if I eat something that has sugar in it, I can feel it, like, craving to, like, eat more, you know. Like, that's not good, you know. And then when you don't, like, the amount of vegetables that I eat is absolutely, like, ridiculous. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'd be eating, like, a half a kilo of vegetables most days, like, because I'd eat a plate of dinner and sure, be gone, I'd be starving. Like I go to my ma's for dinner every Monday, so she'll have 3 plates of dinner made for me today.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I'll eat most of them. Like,
how long have you been doing this?
About 5-6 years now. But it was a kind of a gradual process. What happened was, I purely remember, right? I opened the microwave one morning and there was a curry in it from the night before, a beef curry, right?
Okay.
Right, and you know, you'd eat it the next day and all, it's grand. But when I seen how the beef looked 12 hours after it was at the being dished out, I'm like, that's shit going in my body. So that's it. I just stopped eating meat then, and I'd only eat chicken, and then I'd be eating like dozens of chicken fillets per week, you know. And then I realised, that's not good. So then I was just eating fish, and I just kind of reduced them. And then I remember when I stopped drinking milk, I just felt better. So I just kind of slowly start cutting these things out, you know. And
how come you stopped drinking milk?
I actually seen a video saying milk is designed to turn like a 20 kilo cow into like a 100 kilo cow in 3 months. It's not designed for that.
It's not. I totally agree with that. You know, I always do be thinking about the first guy who came up with drinking milk. What the fuck was he thinking?
He was a wacko. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him around my dog.
I would listen to him. I wouldn't have him on my podcast.
Yeah, he's probably the sort of guy that says you can't make 500 a day.
Up in the comments on Joe Doyle's page.
Yeah, but you see that stuff. But like I'm a student of this stuff. Like, you see the stuff that's in that book. If you are working in construction and you're not making 100 grand a year, I am an absolute expert at it. I can tell you anything you need to know. But everything else, I'm just a student of it. You know, like the likes that I'm trying. So, you know, my buddy that works with me, Alan, like, he's very clued in guy. He's like, Joe, you want to watch that diet? He says it's not right. You're lacking some protein big time there. He's like, want to check that out.
Well, why would you assume that? You're looking at your fit.
Yeah, no, I feel good. Like, I'm fit. Like, but he's just like, just for the recommended daily amount of protein, you're not eating it. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So then I'm like, right, how can I fix this? So I start eating tuna again, which was grand. But then I realised, like, you can actually buy like tins of beans, like not baked beans, but tins of butter beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, loads of plant-based protein in them. And now I'm just milling them, and they're like top class, you know. So you're always kind of stuff that makes you feel better. That's, like, there's no point in me getting to 100 million and dying the next day. I want to live as long as possible.
And the funny thing is that, you know, the more you look into people who are making the money, what are they always talking about? It's always health. It's health. And that's something I'm looking into this year now as well. That's why I'm after cutting out the whiskey. I used to bring people here, and I used to have another whiskey with them, and then now I'm just sticking to red wine, you know. Get checked once in 6 months as well, because you don't know what the hell is going on there. Everything might be looking fresh as a daisy, and you know.
Yeah, I went to this clinic, Dr. Sam out in Malahide. You should go to him. I always mention him on my videos a few times. He does this preventative medicine. So he went out, takes your blood, gallons of blood, sends it off, tests it for everything. You get this big report back, and you go back and you review all these different things. And he was saying that I was low on testosterone, and I had to take testosterone for 4 months, you know. So like you're jabbing yourself with testosterone.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I'm actually in process of starting it now. TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah, no, he calls it TOT, testosterone optimization therapy.
Okay,
Because
so
he says the
similar.
bodybuilders are replacing it because they're whacking it out of it.
Yeah.
But he says just optimizing, and he says do that for 4 months, do another blood test and see where it goes. And he told me that like the mistake I made when I went to him was I should have done it on Zoom, so I had to record and watch again. But he blew me away. That there's markers in my blood to say that I could develop diabetes or develop high cholesterol later on because it's genetic. And he said only because of the type of diet that I have, it hasn't raised. So he said like I'd be in a high cholesterol range now.
No way. And you can see all that.
Like in advance, he's like 10 years, 20 years down the line. Like, so
what's his name? I have to check
Dr.
this
Sam and Malahide, I'll give you his number. He's a legend, he is. He's killed out. Nuacell is the name of the clinic. Nuacell. Actually, and anybody that's listening to this, I'd recommend to because it's preventative, you know. So I went out on the second blood test and now I have to go and get the review with him. But I'll do it like, it's obviously better to talk to the doctor face to face, but this time I'll do it on Zoom so that I can just go back and watch it. Because like, I was like literally blown away.
Yeah, so much information.
I couldn't take it on board. Like, and then he gives you the report. Sure, how could I make sense of a medical report? But like, it's super important, you know. Like I'm 38 now, so you know my 20s are done, my 30s are already done, and I'm approaching my 40s feeling like, right, you've done a good job looking after the body in the earlier years. You know, of course you're out partying and acting a maggot and all that sort of stuff, and you can get on with it. But you know, when you have a few beers and you're feeling it for 2 days, that's your body saying, knock this on the head.
That's what's happening to me now.
Yeah.
It's not as you know as it was. I remember my father used to say to me, "Wait till you hit your 30s, wait till you hit your 40s."
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it, but now I get it.
Oh man, you know what? Like Christmas, right? So Christmas, it was a mad time because we had the new house. We had Christmas dinner in the old house, and we invited all the family over to the new house. So like it was mad. We had to sort out different things, and everybody always comes to our house for Christmas dinner anyway. So it was a busy day, and my aunt was in hospital, so I wanted to go and see her, and you know, just doing a lot of different things. And I didn't have any drink, and I had a drink at about 8 o'clock on Christmas. And I went to put the baby to bed at 12:30, and I was well on at this stage. I was like, just getting in there. So I just jumped in the bed beside her. The next morning, I was dying.
What did you have?
Loads of crap, like whatever was there.
Like loads of drinks or one drink?
Oh no, loads of drinks. Yeah, just like I was not as much as you would expect.
I can't picture you on the drink. I don't know why.
Ah man, I'm a different man on drink. I'm a bleeding nuisance. I am.
You have to have a few drinks with me one day. That's why I wanted to get.
And you know what?
Now I was trying to get Joe drunk on this podcast. He kind of refused.
Yeah, everybody that knows me from work seems to want to get me drunk. To be honest, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing was, start drinking at 8 o'clock. 12:30 I was in bed. So I got 4.5 hours out of it. Of that, I would have been still sober for the first hour. You know, then 3.5 hours, and the next day I was dying. I'm like, nah. This, like, it's just not, you know. And
because it's your Sunday gone, you can't do anything on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then to me, I don't know, you'll probably spend it with your family. To me, Sunday is the best day for work.
Oh yeah, catch up.
Because nobody rings your phone. There's nobody fucking annoying you. Nobody walks in. Nobody walks out. I can actually get 3 days of work on Sunday.
Yeah,
3 days in one day.
One of the things I love doing is throwing a bit of flack out there on the bank holiday. You don't work in a bank holiday. You don't work in a bank out to work. But like, if there's anybody out there, right, this is what I would say, and they're serious about, you know, if they class themselves as a serious entrepreneur, right, just try this. The next time's a bank holiday, work on the Saturday and work on the Monday, and wait to see how good you feel on a Tuesday at the end of the day, when everybody else is back in and they're after having a shit Tuesday because they've been just either not working or just off acting a maggot for the weekend. If you work on a Saturday and you work on a Monday, that gratification that you get on the Sunday, just push it out to the Tuesday afternoon. You feel buzzing because you're a week ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, well, but they want if they don't have the goals. You feel buzzing because you're working with your dream. But if people have no fucking goals or dreams, that's the problem. People lack goals and lack dreams, you know. So
that's your job. You're coming in now. Make sure you have a dream. You know? Just get on with it. Like.
Yeah, I suppose.
Get the dream. Get the plan. You know. I think that like some people just don't believe that things are possible. They just think that stuff is beyond.
Yeah.
Like every single person, like are you trying to say to me, right? Like every single person who writes a smart comment on my page, are you trying to say they wouldn't swap their position for mine? They'd swap it like a heartbeat. Like I'm not saying like they swap their family, like, but they'd swap their position the work they do for the work I do, the rewards I get for the rewards they get, absolutely, 1,000,000%, like, you know. So
that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem because people think that it's so far beyond. You know, but that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast is to show that it is possible. Like a bloody foreigner with no fucking English can come over here and do things, and you think you can't? Shut up. You know what I mean?
Since you started, I only have the second worst accent on social media now.
Yeah, people give me so much stick for my accent. I swear to God.
Oh, it's funny. The other day I made this video in the house, and I think they were actually genuine. I was sitting in the garden, and there's just like, it's like a little alcove, and I was just sitting there, and I had my hood up and all, and I was just talking about something, and someone said, "Are you homeless? Are you sitting under a bridge?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sitting under my fucking bridge," you know. And but like, I think they were genuinely serious about it, you know. But I know that people sometimes struggle when they first see me to take me serious because I don't dress the way they would expect someone to dress. I don't sound the way they expect someone to sound that's doing what I'm doing. But then if they listen to what I'm talking about, they're like, wow, there's a bit of substance in this. Like, it's because like what I'm saying is what I'm doing. Like, it's
and it's on point. Like fucking, when I read this book, there was not one fucking thing that I didn't disagree, that I didn't agree with. Everything is exactly on point the way it should be in this book, you know.
Yeah, and even when we got the book out, like, it took ages to get it edited and re-edit and all that, and then I flicked through it and I seen like a load of typos and all that. I was like, see that book? Fuck it, it's just getting solved now as is. I'm not putting them in the bin to get them done, so we just fixed the typos on the next one. But nobody actually slated us for
I didn't. Do you know what the funny thing was? Oh, this is the funniest thing about this
actually, here's what we'll do. If somebody reads the book and they find a typo, I'll give you a free copy of the new book without a typo, yeah?
Okay, that's an actual deal.
Yeah.
But you know what was the funniest thing about reading this book? And Joe, this is serious.
Right, yeah.
I fucking heard your voice as I was reading it.
Oh, yeah.
I heard your voice. It was like you read it to me. That was funny because I know you so well from Instagram and Facebook, you know. So when I was reading it, it was like you were reading it to me. It was in your own voice.
Yeah, lads do say that to me all the time. It's like, Joe, I was building up the corner, the extension there the other day, and I was doing this, and someone asked me to do something. I was like, what would Joe Doyle say to you now for doing that? You know, it's just, and it's great that like I'm in so many people's head.
Oh, that's actually good. That's actually so good. Having a person who you can say that, because I was actually going to record a special episode about it. Having mentors who you can say that. I have multiple ones. You know what I mean? Every time I'm in the gym, I say, right, what would this guy do now? Every time I'm in a business position, I would say, right, what would this guy do now? Yeah. Having those people in your life is important.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because especially if your circle of your friends is just, you know, I mean, some random people, you know.
Yeah, if they're not business owners, like it's.
You need to have those people, so that's why I say you should follow guys like that, even if you don't have them around you. Read about them, read biographies.
You can get them around you. You can get them around you on Audible. You can get them around you on YouTube. Yeah. You know, you can get them around you.
By the way, this book is on Audible. You can listen to it. You don't have to read it anymore.
Yeah. Reading is out with the Indians now.
Look, I force myself to do 20 pages now and then, you know, but listening is the way to go forward because, look.
Yeah, like what I found, I'm big into my history, like into Irish history, and what I found is that when I'm reading an actual physical book, I like to read something on history, and there's a little bit of chill time. But when I'm reading to learn, or if I'm reading in the work mode, I just go for a run because my mind does be racing all the time, like. And when I'm running, it kind of calms it down so I can kind of take it in, like, you know.
And could you listen to audiobook when you're running? No.
Yeah.
Oh, you
all
could,
the time, yeah. The problem is, like, it's not. Sometimes you have to listen to it a few times.
Oh, of course.
See that one there, Chris Voss, like, that's Never Split the Difference. Like, that's a great book. I've listened to that like 1,000 times. Well, not 1,000, but like
no. So some books have to be real. Some of the Brian Tracy's books I know by heart. You could tell me what chapter, what's what, and I tell you what's in there. That's
brilliant. Yeah.
That's you have to.
That's Eat the Frog, is it? Like.
Oh, that one as well. I want to get a tattoo of that frog. By the way, that book changed my life. That was one of the first ones I ever. Came across.
Get a tattoo of, like, you know, 2 frogs' legs and the rest of it already. Yeah, maybe I'll get that in 100 million underneath it. You know? Like,
do it in my studio. I opened my own studio.
Oh yeah, seen that. Like, it's a mad thing that I think about all the time, right? Is that books have an impact on me just by their title. Yeah, so Never Split the Difference.
What do you mean?
Let me just get a drink here. So, 1 second here. So, excuse me. See, that one, Never Split the Difference. I'd always split the difference with people. Yeah, just get the fucking thing done, you know. And then when I was saying that, I'm like, oh, right, that's interesting. But, like, not even so much that one. Like, Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold.
Oh, I love
Right.
that one as well. I
Perfect.
actually have that on repeat on my Audible in the car.
Man, listen to that so many times, right? You know, everything you want in life is a sale. Now, what is it? You can get, what is it? Everything you want in life is a commission. Actually, have you got the book there? Have you? Flick it back. Something like,
I gave it to somebody.
yeah,
I give my books away.
Yeah, I actually gave it away. I don't even have a copy now. I bought about 10 copies and I gave them all away. But everything in life is a sale and everything you want is a commission, right? So sell or be sold. So you have to be constantly selling yourself all the time. So it's not as if like you're not in work mode and it's not, but the antenna is up all the time, So that was the first one for me, sell or be sold. And then the second one then, which the title had an impact, was
Obsessed.
Be obsessed or be average.
Yeah.
And I was like, anybody just
It
listen to me for 5
makes
minutes, they know that I'm a bit obsessed about certain things.
You have to develop a healthy obsession about your work, and that's what it is. Like people, when they see you in work on Sunday, you're not fucking cuckoo. You're just obsessed about your journey.
Yeah.
And you're not going to succeed it well if you're not obsessed about it. And that is a fucking great book. Every man, by the way, if they want to be a proper man, should read that book.
Yeah. Be obsessed or be average. And then Extreme Ownership. Have you read that one?
You put me onto that, and I actually started it again recently, but I only got to half of it.
Yeah, so even if you think about it, like if you go on this little learning journey, right? So you need to sell or be sold. So if you're not ready to sell at any minute at the time of the day, someone's going to sell you. And then you need to be obsessed or you will be average. But then you need to take extreme ownership. And just taking those 3 titles and laying them on top of each other, that gives you a good foundation
like a good recipe,
for life. Yeah, And then obviously you've got Think and Grow Rich on top of that.
Yeah, like people say you need a lot of books, but those 3 would be probably, if everybody read those 3 books, the world would be completely different, wouldn't it?
I don't read that many books, to be honest. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, those 3 are probably the holy grail, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like any book that I've read it a load of times. Like Think and Grow Rich is obviously it's the most science one, but kind of wrecks me head when I'm listening to it. Like it goes a little bit off towards the end. Like.
It's also recorded in all their language, isn't it? Like to me, like I'm a foreigner, this is not my native language, so that is, I'm okay talking with you here because this is the English that I know, but that English is a little bit different to me,
Yeah, absolutely. I just it's a book everybody should know it inside out, but just the concept of Think and Grow Rich, that's the gig. But it's the title kind of catches me, I just that's like I'm in on that. Then once I have the title, I'm like right, I've got it. Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, boom, perfect. Just stuff like that just sticks with me.
I remember when I started coming across all those books and all these techniques in them. I came about the affirmations. Tony Robbins was saying, fake it till you make it and all that. And I remember I started to tell myself that I'm the best. Every fucking day I'd be telling myself that I do it till today. That's why everything I fucking do, I just do it better than somebody who's teaching me after a few weeks.
Yeah.
It works. People say it doesn't work because they do it for a week or 2, but if you do it for so many years, you just become the fucking best.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, your version of the best. So.
Look, whatever your version of the best is.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And I would never forget, I started saying that when I was still working for somebody, right? There was a carpenter on site, and he was Lucas, I don't know how the conversation started, but I said, I'm the best. You know what I mean? I said it out loud this time. And he fucking looked at me and said, what, the best at what? Because I was just labouring there by then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like when I go to do something, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
I want to be the best parent. I want to be the best employer. I want to be the best parent. I want to be the best son, the best brother. And that's my version of that. What's the point in doing it if you're not? I genuinely don't think any of my staff would get a better employer. I tell Linda all the time she wouldn't get a better fella. I wouldn't like to think that my children could get a better dad. I wouldn't like to think that my mother could get a better son or my sister could get a better brother. We've all got different roles to.
Well, how do we spark that into people? Do you know what I mean? Because we're living like that. We just went through an epidemic, right? But the real epidemic we're living in is a fucking epidemic of average. That's the epidemic I see. Everywhere I look, people just think it's okay to be average. It's an epidemic, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you see, actually, there's something. How do you give that the spark, right? So, if you were to say to me, what's the one thing to stick out to you from Think and Grow Rich, right? And this goes in my. One of the chapters that starts off, there is no cure for a lack of desire. So basically, Think and Grow Rich is telling you that you can do whatever you want, you can achieve whatever you want, but there's no cure for a lack of desire. So if you don't have that desire, it ain't gonna happen.
Nobody can teach you, nobody can force you.
Yeah, and like I see that with people, for example, my desire to grow and succeed purely comes from a fear of poverty. I know what it's like to to grow up and have nothing, you know. So like,
exactly what you're saying.
yeah, like, and like, not to slight me dad or anything like that, like, because he's cool, like, I got on great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so when I was growing up, like, my dad was on the scene, and like, he was a builder, but he was like a horrendous businessman, horrendous, like. So he would have money, and then there would be weeks when he would have nothing, you know, and you'd open the fridge and there'd be no shopping there, you know. I'm like, oh, you know, but I sure as a kid I knew nothing more. And then you see the contrast between having and not having, and I'm like, right, when I grow up, that's never going to happen in my life. You know, it's never going to happen in my family's life, and you do everything to get away from that. And then I see people that have grown up without having ever experienced any lack in their life, and they pursue wealth purely to get closer to wealth. And I believe that the people that are most likely to succeed are the ones who are doing it to escape poverty, but those who make the most money are the ones who don't know lack. And they just run for it. They don't care about failure because they've not really experienced it, you know. And it's I know a few people that are like that, and they're like serious risk takers because they've never actually experienced that. And for me, I wouldn't take that risk because I'm like, I'm not fucking going back there, you know. Just like, everything is calculated. Even me being here today, this is a risk. I'm risking, you know, 2 or 3 hours of my time, and I'm not getting paid. I'm like, oh, this is not something that I do all the time. People message me every single day, can I meet you for lunch? Can I meet you for coffee? I'm like, you know, how many lunches can I have in a day? I don't drink tea, I don't drink coffee, you know. But people just want to see it, and, you know, really what they're trying to do is they're trying to get like some of your time to learn. That's fine, no problem. But if I don't see a return on that, I won't do it, you know.
Of course, you know. Then you should probably divert them to your business course, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like, we'll talk to them one way or other. Like, we'll connect them with something, or we'll get them onto the book or whatever, you know. Or you might just jump in a call with them for a few minutes. But it's for me, like, you know, the goal is the most important thing. Because if I'm not working towards the goal, I'd rather just sit at home in my shorts with my baby climbing all over me. You know, that's
that's the definition of happiness, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, absolutely. Like,
How many copies of this have you sold so far? Do you have it in the builders providers? The last time I was looking at your stuff, you wanted to get it.
I put it into a few of them, and I just didn't follow up then because I just got completely consumed. So really what I need to do is I need to hire someone and just get them to go around and get them in.
Whenever you get it, I'd put it on the shelf strip.
Yeah, I should get them to put them in all the time. So what's a great thing about the book is every day we sell about, you know, anywhere between 1 and 5 copies.
Oh, really? That's good.
Yeah, it's good.
For Irish markets, that's fucking good.
Yeah. Now, like, you know, you might go for a week and you only sell one each day for a week, but 1/3 of the people who've bought the book come and do a program with us, which is great, you know. So let me work with the numbers on that then. Is that between 1 and 5? So let's say you do. No, you know what? I'd say that's a bit high. You wouldn't do 1 to 5. I'd say you do about. Say you do 50 copies in the month, and then 1/3 of them would come and do some further business with us. Say that's about right. I know people say, "Who's fucking saying that?" You know, how you saying that with numbers when you're recording because they're saying them on the fly.
These fucking experts will be in the comments with a calculator.
Yeah. The main thing is 1/3 of the people who buy the book come and spend more money with us, and that's a big chunk. So I'm really happy with that, you know, and that's the good thing, you know.
Well done. I'm gonna smash it on the Audible as well.
Yeah, the Audible's good. It actually took a bit of time to get it.
And is it your voice? Did you do it?
Yeah, I done it. Yeah, in the studio and all. Like, it took a long time to record it and get it done. And now I haven't listened to it. I can't listen. It's actually a weird thing going to sleep listening to the voice inside your head, and the voice coming in is your voice as well, you know. But now look, it's good. Like, people have been asking for Audible all the time. I purposely didn't bring the Audible out so that I'd get people to buy the book first, you know. Yeah. And then it took a lot longer to get the Audible out than what it is. Look, the mistake I made with that book is we done everything ourselves. You know, every piece of that we done myself and the team in house. I should have just hired someone just to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just took up way too much time. Like, way too much time. You'd be surprised, like, the amount of times. Like, Jane in the office read that about 10 times. Like,
oh no,
she done the proofreading on it, and then we sent it to her. I'll give you a laugh, right? Do you ever use Fiverr, the website?
No, every day.
Right. Like, I'd be a little bit skeptical of Fiverr at the start, right? And the only time I ever had a problem on Fiverr was we got a guy to proofread the book, and he was an Irish guy, and he made a balls of it.
Oh, and no,
like, an Irish guy, and like, people wouldn't use Fiverr because there's people all over the country or all over the world. Like, I don't know. The only problem we had was a guy from somewhere in the city centre. I was like, don't believe that. What's the chance of that? You know. So we gave him the book. He was meant to that, and he just so basically he was meant to proofread it and tidy up all the graphics, and he sent it back, and Alan was reading it, and Alan, obviously, he's a perfectionist. He's like, first 10 pages, you noticed a couple of typos. Like, look, we can't do this. I'm not dealing with him. He's gone. I was like, okay, no bother. So we got someone else.
What an irony, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I was at that point. I'm like, listen, fix them typos you noticed, and it's going to print. End of story. We'll fix it on the next one. So I was waiting for a few people to slate us with a few typos and all that, but no.
Look, you focus on the knowledge. That's what I say about books and about people as well. Because sometimes people hold a grudge against somebody because of their accent or their visual appearance. And when I always say to people, personal growth should be like Chinese buffet. You go in there and you take what you want, not fucking everything. You don't eat the frogs and shit.
Yeah, like the thing is, like there's a terrible thing in the world at the minute that if someone says something that you don't like, if somebody says something that they don't like, they have to dismiss every single thing else that you say. Like some of the stuff, like I do follow people online, and some of the stuff they say I just don't agree with. Like, it doesn't mean I don't like them.
Yeah.
Like look at Donald Trump. He's a legend. He says some mad stuff like.
Yeah. It's happening to Elon Musk now. Are you aware of that? Because of the fact that he bought Twitter, all the Teslas are dropping in price and all that. People are dropping them. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and he did it to save the world. Like, I fucking love that guy with all my heart, Elon. He only bought Twitter to for the free speech and shit.
Yeah. It's absolutely. But you see, like, who's the sort of guy that drives an electric car? The guy that wants to save the earth, which is normally like a left-wing guy that doesn't like, they all want free speech, providing free speech is on their terms. Like, it's alarming what's out there, and like, it is alarming, and I'm just trying to shut it out because I'm not going to be able to do anything about it myself, and I'd rather just put my energy into my own business. But that's shocking stuff. But yeah, Elon's an animal. Like 7,500 people on Twitter, boom, get rid of 2.5 of them. The other 2.5, those 2.5 took another 2.5, so they're down the 1/3 of the workforce. And he's shaking things up. Like, I would trust anything that, like, if you look at it, like, people don't trust Bill Gates. He's trying to end world hunger and all this sort of stuff because he's trying to eradicate population control, trying to eradicate people and all. And then Elon's trying to put chips in everybody's brain. Like, yeah, Elon's a legend. Like, I was like, okay, we'll trust him with a chip in the brain. Did you get me to go for that?
I get you exactly, and I had a bit of a conspiracy about it as well, because I was thinking, what the hell is going on? But there's a different types of chip. Apparently the chip that he's put, well, I suppose it'll have all functions, but they're starting it, they're marketing it in a way that it's gonna, let's say, fix your spine, fix your eyesight, stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't get that chip myself now.
No, you wouldn't now, but like when it's 10 years down the line.
Yeah. What they're saying is that if you get it, you'll be a millionaire in a couple of minutes, because you'll have instant access to internet. You can ask, it's just, it's actually unimaginable. Yeah.
Did you ever see that film Limitless? I was like, give me as much of that shit as you got, man. I'm all over it, I remember watching that video. I was like, imagine if that really existed, But that's what's happening. But just like, the one thing for sure is we're living in exciting times.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen next?
I believe the artificial intelligence is going to take over in the next couple of years. I believe there will be robots who will be better looking than human, and will make you fall in love with them, based on AI will be able to scan conversations for the past 10 years and will be able to tell you what you want. Like, they'll be able to make robots fucking very physically attractive, I bet you. They're already talking about all this. So they have them in China.
Do they?
Yeah. Obviously they're not talking
well,
human yet.
This is what I think, right? They'll bring in the AI and they will replace, more and more automation in manufacturing, different places like that. But people will still crave the personality, the human touch, and that's why, like, building the personal brand, I think, is super important.
Alex Hormozy said that it might not be the case, because they'll be able to build influencers. The AI will be able to be an influencer. That's what Alex is reckon. I've seen his movie there on YouTube, and he's going for about an hour about the AI and the dangers of it. Like even in the dating world.
Right, yeah.
Because the thing is that they can scan a couple of years back and take the most attractive answers, and it'll be crazy.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. Like for me, like the people who follow me are like 30 to 50-year-old tradesmen that's slogging away, and I think they like a bit of normality that they see with me, and they also see some of the things I'm doing, and they see, Jesus, they could do that as well, And plus then the knowledge that they get as well. So that's my kind of.
I suppose robot couldn't replicate that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, but maybe they could.
Well, but look, would you employ a robot? Because I tell you, if robot,
absolutely, 1,000,000% yes.
If robot cost me 30 grand and I spread the payments over 5 years and it cost me 500 quid a month, and that robot is not gonna call in sick on Monday.
Yeah.
He's not gonna tell me that needs to sue me now because he tripped over his fucking shoelaces. Stuff like that happens all the time.
There's a mad thing I seen before. Was a program where you could hire this robot, and he done all the domestic chores,
Oh.
But what was the gig? But the thing was, like the robot was just a stunning looking board, like stunning looking woman,
Oh.
And then the man of the house starts having a few drinks and starts looking at her, not she's a robot, and like the robot is recording everything that's happened. So she breaks, and they bring her to get her fixed, and there's a download of all the different things that's going on, and they blame it on the son. And the only one that knows that the Youre lads that have been acting the mag with the robot is the son, because he knows it wasn't him, like, Yeah, but look, who knows? Like, the main thing is you want to be living in interesting times, and we're definitely living in interesting times. Now, sure, we're probably going to get nuked soon. That's why I just want to get just a field and a glass house and grow as much of my own food as possible. Get a few chickens, go back to nature.
I said that on my TikTok the other day because that's what they reckon. Look, we're not gonna go into the whole war, but I believe that the war is not against Ukraine against Russia. I believe the war is America in the face of Ukraine against Russia. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And they're pressuring them. So once Putin is put against the wall, he will use the nukes, and he already announced it. So the demo they did is if he bounced one of them on the side of Ireland here, a 500-meter wave is gonna fucking flood Ireland and go into the UK. Yeah, they did the demo on it.
Yeah, so it's because of the UK. Like, it's not too far away. Yeah, probably.
And they said
I'd say Korean man will be more likely to fire a nuke than Putin. I'd say so. It's the end of the world. Once the nuke goes, it's the end of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, fuck that.
So I need to get I'd say 500 meters. I'll have to get a house 500 metres up the Wicklow Mountain somewhere.
A helicopter.
yeah, something like that.
No, but they did a demo on the scary stuff, But I try not to think about that because
but like there's always something like in the last while, like we had like since like the Twin Towers, then you had like the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, the war in terror.
But they never actually promoted building bunkers as much as they're doing it now.
Are they promoting that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's actually a video, Bill Gates and all them. Yeah, you can see it on this guy. What's his name? Comedian from the UK with the long hair. What's his name?
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, yeah, Russell Brand.
Headbanger him, yeah.
Yeah, but he has some interesting stuff there. He was talking, he exposes all this stuff, and he was making fun of a commercial ad for a bunker,
Oh, right, very good, yeah.
So there's a lot of people getting them. Andrew Tate is getting one built in Poland for 5 million.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I just think you need to position yourself geographically in a good spot. So probably high ground is the problem, isn't it? For the nuke, I don't know. Ireland, we just ran over.
Yeah, we'd be gone.
Sure, there's a bit of snow. Would you ever see a bit of snow in the whole country?
Joe, you can laugh all you want, and people will be laughing at this as well. But I have at home 6 to 8 months of food supplies in the gaff because after the last winter, do you know what I said? Ireland only has 30 days of food supply in the shops.
Right,
so the fucking snows for 2 days and concentrated little down with the diggers.
Yeah, I remember when the lockdown first came in. I was like, all right, this is getting serious because I only had to have a brand new baby like just a couple of weeks before, and I was like, I got a welder's mask. I was going around wearing that. I went down and I bought loads of canned food, loads of pasta, right? And I still have them in the house now, like, but I would never eat them. Like, they're just there, and I was like, they're not even in with the other food. They're in with all the tools in the storeroom.
Yeah.
But I think you should be prepped.
That stuff doesn't go off, by the way. It might have an end date.
Yeah.
But there was a thing in Poland, I tell you this. So there was look, they were the Dodgies, right? And they bought fucking like a couple of truckloads of this meat in cans from somewhere in Sweden, and they sold it to a government contract to schools.
Oh,
and it was like 30 years out of date.
And did they?
They got away. It was perfect. Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, but then they got caught, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was perfect. 30 years. Yeah. So that's some stuff has a date, but because of the packaging.
Yeah. The minerals in the packaging.
But
you're not gonna if it's gonna kill you after 5 years, you're not gonna care. Right? Once you survive the initial blast, once you survive long enough to get the book out, generate the royalties. Yeah, I don't know. Like when I see all the different people talking about the lockdowns, or people being locked down in in apartments and all, that's torture. Like, that's why I was like, I want a house with land, like, and that's why we bought a house with land, like. So at least if they're locking us down, I can get out and walk around. Like,
well, nobody actually locked us down in Ireland, but in China they're actually locking people down. Yeah,
big time. Yeah,
the fucking doors bolted and everything.
There was some thing going around. I was in Spain a while ago, and there was a chap there. He lived there. He's an Irish fella, lived there, and he was telling a story about other people he knew. And you're only allowed outside your apartment to walk your dog. And there was a fella walking around, he was renting his dog out, and he was giving the dog to people. The dog had the legs walked on him, you know. And another fella had a bag of shopping with like 2 baguettes in it. And he had the same bag of shopping, just because, you're allowed out to the shop. And he was just walking around with the bag of shopping, and the copper seen him one day and took the bread. Now, like, listen, get back in, you know. It's mad stuff. It's mad. Like,
they must have read your book.
Maybe, yeah, but that's thinking outside the box. And I remember one day just walking down the road in Spain, like, with no mask on, because I always wouldn't wear a mask, like. And I was like, these coppers hopefully don't say anything to me now. And I'm walking down, and I was like, I'm kind of looking, like, it's like as if you're about to doing something wrong, like, because I'm just walking down the road, like, it's just mad stuff. But that's just mad that we just gone through that, isn't it? And now look, I don't, maybe we shouldn't even talk about it now.
I'm just surprised that everybody just thinks it was all good and it's okay. Nobody questions anything. They still keep watching TV. That's what fucking shocks me. It shows the stupidity of people. Do you know what I mean? It shows the level of ignorance and stupidity. Do you know what I mean? You can fucking force something down somebody's throat and they're fine.
Yeah.
A year later, they forgot.
I just leave people. I don't really pay too much attention. Like, people who message me and they say all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Unless they actually, like, I don't believe that anybody is ever going to do anything they say. I don't believe that anybody's ever going to follow through on anything they say until I see them doing it. You know, I was just doing a bit of business there a while ago, and one of the people I was doing the business was like, why are you, like, so negative about this? Like, I'm not negative. I just don't think it's going to happen until it happens. And they're like, well, if you don't think it's going to happen...
What were you referring to? What's going to happen? Sorry.
Well, it was a deal. I was like until I get paid, it's not going to happen. So if I sign the contracts, I'm closer to getting paid. The other side might be locked in, but until my solicitor rings me and says that money's in the account, I don't believe it's going to happen, you know. And just you see all the people, like, I just wouldn't even. People
should use that when they're starting jobs. You know how many people? I know so many builders. Oh yeah, we have that job. We're starting that job. Oh yeah, fucking buying tools already because they're gonna start some job.
Yeah,
bollocks. The moment you're starting the job is when the moment you have the fucking keys in your hand on the first day. This is the moment, because I've had jobs as well, booked in big government contracts and everything. Yeah. Oh yeah, boys, we have you booked in for next month. Blah blah blah. Something happens, boom. You know?
I'll give you like a laugh, right? When you're out running all the time and you can be running with the lads, you talk about like the weirdest, maddest shit, right? And I was running up this mountain one day with my buddy's dad. It was actually can't think which mountain it was, but I'm running up the mountain, and he says to me, "What songs do you sing when you're running?" And I was like, I don't know, sometimes I sing this song or that song. He says, I always sing Kenny Rogers the Gambler. I was like, what's that? And he's like, never count your money when you're sitting at the table. It's time enough for counting when the dealing's done. I was like, I know the song, but I never listened to the words like that. And I goes, I'm going to have to stop doing that. It says, because the minute I look at selling a place and getting the money, I'm already spending the money elsewhere, you know. So that was going through my head all day. And we're out doing a 100k charity run that day. And we had this deal going on with this chap, and Paddy rings me, and you know the way, if you've got like a difficult client or someone that's difficult, like, bleeding Joe fucker coming down here now, he's going to wreck me head, because you know someone that's difficult, right? But if you get a guy that's really good to deal with, he'll be just in a good headspace. You'll hold him in a good headspace. And so let's just say a man's name is Lucas we're doing this deal with, and Lucas is a real cool dude to deal with, like. And Paddy rings me and he goes, see that Lucas fucker's at the deal? And I'm like, Lucas fucker, what you mean? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, what did he do? Oh, he's at the pulling out of the deal. I was like, don't believe it. And I was like, I only learned that song yesterday. I says, I have to stop doing that, you know. And he says, well, he actually rang me. He texted me yesterday, but I didn't want to ring you because I didn't want to ruin your run. I was like, all right, no, but I was like, what's the chance of that, you know? But
when I hear stories like that, I think about the law of attraction. You probably attracted that.
Well, either I attracted it or I knew it was happening. That's the other thing. I think maybe I just felt that this was happening at that exact moment of the time. So I don't think I'd done that to create that scenario, but maybe you get a bit of intuition like that. Like, actually, I said to Paddy there a while ago, I was like, we need to do a few different things here. I says, I have a feeling this guy's going to start acting the maggot with us, you know? And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. I was like, I think that's going to happen there. And basically you're halfway through a deal and someone just pulls out of it, you know. Now you get to a point where you can't pull out and that's fine, but sometimes it takes a long time to get to that point. And about 2 weeks later, someone tried to pull out the deal, but it wasn't that guy. It was another one. I was like, how we knew that was going to go on, you know. And I'm saying to Paddy as well, like, look, we need to go and get all the buildings checked by the fire engineer. I know we got them checked a few years ago, but just get them checked again. I was like, it's just, you know, we're starting to make good progress here now. The last thing we want is something coming back and catching us with regarding fire regs. Yeah, no bother. So he goes out and sets up the appointment. Then one of the tenant rings me, he's ringing me, didn't take the call. He's ringing me again. I'm like, why does he keep ringing me so much? Joe, I have to tell you, there's been a fire at the house. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Now look, it was no big deal. It was a little small fire at the side of the house. But it's just like you can't tell the future, but you're staying tuned in. Where's the risk here? What can go? What can work well for me? What can go wrong? And you're trying to identify all the risks at all time. And that's like even with what we're doing now at all times in business. Like we've got so many clients, so many tenants, so many people looking to do business with us, and we make money on all aspects of that. So when somebody new was coming in the door, I'm like, right, is this fella gonna wreck my head now? Is this the sort of guy that's gonna wreck my head? And if I think he is, you just say no. Even if he's a good fit as a client, but you think he's going to wreck your head, you don't take him in. Some people aren't a good fit for the client, you don't take them in, that's fine. But sometimes you get a guy that is a good fit for the client, and you just think he's going to be a head wrecker, and you just don't take him in, you know. Or especially like if someone's a head wrecker of a tenant or whatever else. Like I remember the landlord.
No,
that goes without saying. Like, yeah,
bite you in the ears.
Yeah, landlord was on to me. He's like, oh, my house had to get wrecked, you know. Somebody was like, oh, no way. He's like, I'm sorry to hear that. He says the tenant left. Then the tenant's messing me. Hey, Joe, do you have any place to rent? I'm after having to move out my other place. I'm like, nah, you're all right, you know. But just because I knew, you know, you're there on. Yeah, like you know, I just had a fella move out of the house there the other day, and he took a dishwasher with him, which I think was his dishwasher, but I think he got rid of the old one that was there. So he took the dishwasher in place of the one that was there, but he left like literally a shed full of rubbish. I'm like, fucking hell, man! Like, just people just don't care. Like, and the minute a landlord does something wrong, they're out to slate him,
on the TV and everything.
Yeah.
Hang him.
Landlords are the devil. Like.
Yeah. Have you got a story where a tenant refused to pay rent? How long can they stay in your gaff? That's actually a big one. I was dealing with somebody recently, and they had a serious problem with the tenant who just decided he's not paying rent. Can't do fucking nothing.
Look, there is certain things you can do, but the process quite so. Like, all my tenants' rent is paid by HAP, every one of them. So I'm like, last Wednesday of the month, cha-ching, money comes in from the government, you know. So I don't need to worry about that. Like,
that's probably a good thing.
Like, I don't know. Like, a lot of people don't want to take HAP. Well, sorry, hold on, let me say that again. A lot of people say landlords don't want to take HAP, but it just doesn't make sense as to why that would be true. I've never seen it to be true. The money comes in like clockwork last Wednesday of every single month. And the only difficulty is, if the last Wednesday of the month is the 30th or the 31st, the mortgages go out on the 28th. So you've got this little 2-day gap, like, which is nothing, like, you know. So I just don't know why people wouldn't do that, you know. I know people are, like, when the people are saying the landlords are slating them, and for not taking it.
I wouldn't know why.
Whereas, like, if I'm discriminating against anyone, it's like, yeah, people are paying cash, like, I'm discriminating against them because I just prefer to have people all the time. It's simple, you know, especially in the lockdown, like, people's jobs were at risk, and our money came in on the dot, you know, which was great. It just kind of proved and validated their business model was
that's actually a good tip for somebody. Yeah, that's actually a good tip for a landlord, you know, go for that.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know why, like, if you got...
Plus you're helping the community as well, because there's a serious shortage of houses, but there's an even seriouser shortage of houses for people who need the help, you know, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just shortage of rental property overall, like, you know. But you see, if you're going renting, like, a house in a really swanky part of town where the rent is 4 or 5 grand a month, which, okay, someone's saying, shouldn't be 4 or 5 grand, but if you're, like, renting a big mansion in Donnybrook or something like that, that's going to be 5 grand a month, you have to rent it to someone who's paying cash. But you would expect at that level, with no issue with them paying cash anyway. So look, it's just...
Jeez, what would you do with all that cash? You can't fucking have cash these days.
No, but when I say cash, it's not cash under the mattress, it's like cash into the bank. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's what you mean.
Yeah, like, it's just, you know, yeah, it's even mad. Even like just the word cash is now saying to be like, oh, he said cash. No, like it's either coming through the HAP or they're paying cash into the bank, you know. Look, I don't know, like, it's, I think one of the reasons why we have been so successful is that we've had very little hassle with tenants, but we're quite good with them. If something breaks, we fix it. If they pay the rent, no problem, you know. If they don't pay the HAP talks to them, you know. Because I think you want to be avoiding hassle at all costs.
And did you know that from the start, or did you make mistakes? Because you know your whole system, the way you have it set up, it just works. You know what I mean? But how did you get it? Like, did you learn it off somebody, or did you try it by mistakes? Like,
see, that's the mistake I made. I learned too much by trial and error, where I should have hired somebody to help me sooner, help me speed up things. But no, because I was like, where I was growing up in Clondalkin, like, that's the only people that are going to rent. Like, I was only buying houses around where I live, and the only people that's going to rent around where I live are people who are from the area, and the vast majority of them would qualify for HAP or social welfare, as it was at the time. You know, it used to be a pure backward system. Like, the cheque would go out to the tenant, made out to the tenant had to cash the cheque and then give you the money. Like, madness, like, you know.
Yeah, and they probably spend it.
Like, you're talking like a girl, she might be on her own, have 2 kids, she gets 300 quid a week from the social, and then once a month 1,000 quid in the cheque comes out. Like, that's more money than she's ever going to have at her disposal. It's just madness. And then the HAP come in and revolutionised it all, and boom, just pays the landlord directly. It's mad. Like, you know, if you had a query with a social welfare payment from a tenant and you rang up the social welfare, they used to say, oh, we can't talk to you because it's data protection. And then the HAP come through, which is effectively the same thing, but now they just pay it to the landlord, and data protection is not brought up as an issue. It's just a plain joke, like, you know.
Yeah, but it's much better, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the old system was a joke, but this stuff is ideal. Like, it's grand. You don't need to worry about it, you know.
Yeah.
So we're happy with that, and it allows us to expand. But now you've got the issue with all these different regulations and stuff coming in, and basically we're just not pushing in that area as much as.
Yeah. Like, what would you give us an example of something that's kind of making you step away from that market? You know, like
the rules are changing all the time. Like, it's like the rules are just changing all the time. There's this. You know, there's a vendetta against landlords out there, and like, we need more landlords. Like, the public think that the landlords are responsible. Like, landlords aren't buying houses and keeping them; they're buying them and renting them out. You know, and we need more landlords. So until the government decides to go and create some kind of campaign to inform people and let them know that the landlords aren't the problem, the landlords are the solution.
But they're doing the other way. They're doing it the other way.
They're making it worse, like.
Yeah.
So it's just a mad thing, like. But you just get sick of listening to it every time the process changed, this and this and this and this. Like, yeah, fuck that, you know. And now they're trying to say, like, that if the landlord wants to sell the property, he can't ask the tenant to move out. You know, they call it like no fault evictions. But like, if I go and get, you know, 250k, that's my money. Now, whether I get it as a mortgage or whether it's my money in cash, and I go and buy a van, a car, a building, whatever, like, I should have the right to take my money back and sell it. But they're saying, well, once you put it into that asset class, you can no longer get it back. Well, like, you know what, I'm just going to not put it in the first place. And then there's less investment in that area, and then there's less.
So they reckon you won't be able, or you're already not able to tell people to move out when you're selling the house?
Oh, well, it's already going that way. They haven't brought in the actual rule to say that you can't ask them to move out.
Because when that comes in, that's going to be a disaster.
It's going to be a disaster. But you see, you've got a situation here now where you've got people who are unhappy with the government, and then you've got the opposition government, which is all the all these people before profit, Sinn Féin, all them left-wing socialists are like, they're responsible for it, you know, as in the government. But like, the truth of the matter is the government have done an absolute stomper of a job over the last while in terms of like people are getting paid 350 quid a week to stay at home, you know, mad stuff like that, you know.
You think it's good or bad? I don't think it's good at all.
No, but you see, the people that are getting rallied by the left-wing politicians are the people who's at home taking this money, and they're getting blamed, and they're doing it, but they're doing more damage, because if there was 50 more people like me in Dublin, that means there would be 50 times the amount of rental property available. But there's not more, because the people are like me, they're clever, they're hardworking, they're like, you know what, Joe, I'm just going to go and put my money into something else. I'm putting it into this. I'm going into this area altogether, and it's just making it worse. You know, so it'll be one day the tables will turn. I think it's going to get a bit worse for the landlords, and one day the tables will turn, and they'll realise it. You know, because I remember, like, it was kind of like a popular thing to be a landlord, and then it was like you're the devil if you're a landlord. You know, mad sort of stuff. But
I think it was after a couple of stories coming out, about how landlord, there was a there was a funny video. I know you've seen that video, and you even asked on your Facebook page to talk to this man. There was this guy that was fucking two guys out.
Oh yeah,
that was funny, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's an interesting thing. If you watch that, come on, you go first.
No, I didn't want to say anything. I just wanted to say that it was actually very hilarious the way I seen it, But not every landlord is like that landlord, Like obviously this guy was a little.
But you see, if you watch that video again, right? And even then there was another story then where there was like 40 people living in a bleeding couple of bedrooms in some place in Fibs or something like that. But what happens with those guys, right? And you find like a lot of people, particularly like, South American, Eastern European people, they will sleep anywhere. They don't care, right? So one of them will rent a house off the landlord, and then he'll sublet it to as many people as he can get into the place. And then the landlord is the one that's put in the bad light, but he probably doesn't know like what's going on, But the one about your man baiting the two people in the house, like if you go and watch that video again, right? Because I watched it a few times, and if you slow it down and you listen, right? And then I actually seen an article, because he did come out and release a statement, right? So what happened there was he had a tenant in the house, and the tenant was being bullied by these other two people. So the tenant is a foreign guy, and the two people are foreign guys from his country, and the two people come in then and start bullying your man and staying in the house. So if you watch that video again, right, he runs up the stairs and he says to his buddy, "Have you got this? Right? Are you recording it?" And he was at the break in the door, and he has a bar in his hand, and he's grabbing your man, right? But he goes into the room then and he says, "Why didn't you do something about it, you windy fuck you?" Right, so I'm sure windy means like you chicken, like,
Jesus,
why didn't you do anything about that? And your man just says nothing, and he runs out of the room and he's threatening the other guy. He takes his shoes off, and I know, look, you shouldn't do it, like there's no question about that. But what actually happened is a different story altogether.
Completely different.
So he recorded it he said for his own records, because he was going in there that these guys had been trashing the house but intimidating the people who are lawfully there. And then he basically went in and got rid of them out of property, So,
there you go. So one piece of video can put so,
exactly.
I had it completely different there.
Yeah, but if you go and watch that video again,
now I will,
and look at it from that point of view. I know it's a great little trick. Actually, I was watching something there the other day, and I've got this new app, and I'm playing around with CapCut, the editing app, and I'm watching videos in slow motion, and you can see different sides of the coin. Did you see the one with your man supposed to be robbing out of the garage, and the worker fights with him? He's the worker's an Indian guy.
Yeah,
the robber.
Yeah.
Like if you watch that whole thing, like I'm like looking at it from the employee's perspective, from the customer's perspective, I'd say he didn't rob that box of Snickers, because why would there be a box of Snickers just left lying around a shop, unless you've been in the storeroom? That would be the first thing. In which case, then maybe a man should have just rang the police or rang the guards. And then if you look at it from the employee's perspective, you can see that he doesn't know how to handle it. He's not. You see that he doesn't know how to defend himself. He doesn't know how to wrestle with these people. He doesn't know how to fight with these guys, and he's just annoyed and emotional. And then you look at it from the shop owner's point of view. So basically, in my head, and I'm not an expert in this, the customer was wrongly accused of stealing, so he now has a case against the employer, and the employee was assaulted. So that's a criminal case between them two, but it's a civil matter between the customer and the owner of the shop. So there's a good chance there that if the employee got your man charged, he'd be charged over that. But the customer could actually take a case against the owner of the shop. It's a civil matter. And then the employee can also take a case against the owner of the shop because he was injured while working. So when you look at it like that, I'm like, wow, that's just madness. What's
like a
going
big
on.
bulk.
Yeah, and then insurance prices go up. Your man makes less money, and then we're paying 10 cent more for a bottle of water, and then it's classed as rip off Ireland. While your man, who's shouldn't have hit your man, who lost the head, could have easily, and he's out begging again the next day on the street. Like if he gets 6 months for assaulting your man, he's probably happy out. He's got a bed for 6 months and he doesn't need to worry about food,
for the winter.
Yeah, for the winter. So there's always these different.
Was that locally? Did that happen?
Somewhere in city centre, yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, and and it's the same in business. Like when sorry, 1 second there. You're fuming me out with this thing here. Can I knock that off? Can I?
Of course.
It's the same in business when everybody's looking at things in the one way, and we're figuring out how we could do it in another way. Like one of the last places online where I'll ever advertise or do any business is LinkedIn. Everyone's a fucking expert on LinkedIn. That's blocking your camera there, by the way.
The what?
The water's probably blocking your
Yeah,
camera.
I haven't used LinkedIn too much to be honest.
Yeah, but like everybody's an expert on LinkedIn, you know. So I'm like, yeah, let all the experts be over there and be experts. And
what's your best platform? I think TikTok was my best.
just really Facebook and TikTok, yeah, and Instagram not so much. Instagram doesn't really like me as much as Facebook and TikTok.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna hire somebody just to give them one platform each to manage and see where we go.
Instagram is a bizarre platform, you know. Like I would never judge a person on the way of the way their Instagram looks, because I know fucking models, I know fucking movie stars from Ireland, I know fucking these people, and they're all extremely miserable and broke.
Oh,
majority of them,
just,
and they're living this life. They're fucking. They have 4,000, 6,000 followers. Looks like they're having a laugh, but when you actually get to know them,
it's hard game to play, isn't it? Like
like why would you? I mean,
I'm playing the game of hard work.
Yeah.
You know, seems to be a little bit in fashion with certain people.
No, and you know, another one, a good one to play is, you know, live like you're broke. I mean, for a while I didn't do that, but now I'm doing it. You know what I mean,
yeah,
I don't need an expensive car now. I went through a phase, like, you know, I mean, everybody goes through phases. You learn on your own mistakes, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I people that follow me, they never see me. They hear me talk. Like I talk about numbers and money and deals and stuff like that all the time, but they never see any kind of. There's nothing kind of extravagant about my lifestyle, you know. And the first thing ever is like the new house, you know. So that looks like fairly swanky on camera. Like
you did have a nice Range Rover, didn't you?
I still have it. It's old as fuck now. Like, you know, it's still there. And like it's like Linda saying to me, like, you need to get a new car. I'm like, oh, just wait. I'm just gonna buy this house and then I'm gonna actually get. So like we sit down and we do this expenditure plan, it's called. So on Friday we sat down and mapped out right what we're gonna do. I was like, right, Paddy, buying a new Jeep. I've been putting off like for far longer than I have to. It's like, okay, no bother. So we've got all this money that we're forecasting to come in. Okay, we'll do this deal, and we'll buy the Jeep out of that deal. And then I'm like, no, we do that one first. So the Jeep just keeps getting pushed back down, like, you know. But like, I think I do need to get one soon enough. Like, it's
if anybody deserves it, it's you, you know.
But people say, oh, if you deserve it. Like, what do you mean deserve it?
Well, you know, if you work hard, it's different if you're starting a business and you finance the fucking thing.
Yeah, that's what Paddy's like, just go and finance. I'm like, no, I'm not financing it. Look, we'll just buy it and that'll be it. I'd like to get one of those new Defenders, like, they look really nice. But look, when it comes down to it, I probably won't bother. But I just, you know, I'm only getting a new one now. Like, Linda's a lovely car. So when we're going anywhere, we go in her car. So she's happy out.
And your one is a workhorse, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, like I would more prioritise just buying more properties. You know, that's the thing. And then, like, you know, I'm not gonna live in a bleeding in a big house like that and have a big brand new car in the garden. I mean, I have a mortgage on a house. I wouldn't do that. So like, you know, it's costing more than the price of a.
I don't know if I should ask. Well, how much did the house set you back? Could you say? Sure.
Yeah, 1.25.
1.25.
Yeah. So
that's how much you'd want to spend for a gap. That's why I'm not buying a fucking house. Because what's the point of me moving out from smelly 3-bedroom house to another smelly 3-bedroom house? Fuck that shit. I want to do what you do.
Yeah, well, like, look, where I've been living, like, I'm living in a nice house that I built, and it's in a nice enough estate, but the whole area, like, is not the most affluent area, you know. But like, they're my type of people. I grew up with them and all that. But I always said I want to live in a mansion, so now I've got a mansion, you know. It needs about 500 grand spent on it, you know. That's another day's conversation. Yeah, we'll catch up. So now I have to go now and spend that money, and it'll slow down the growth on the other stuff. Or else I'll just
another 500 grand. Whoa.
Yeah, we'll get it. Look, I have forever, you know. There's no like, I just like walking around the garden. As I said, just looking at my bird feeders. The birds just eating it. But that suits me. It's a nice place.
Is there a stream at the back as well?
Yeah, I'm going to put a few fish in that, you know. I'll just like. I'll be just walking around that.
Share us a few pictures on your Instagram, because I haven't seen that. You mentioned that there is something, but I only seen the trees. Yeah,
because like I just shared a few pictures and stuff like that. Actually, I done a TikTok the other day with it. I was just trying. Do you do the lives on TikTok? Do you?
No, I probably should. I was blocked on TikTok for a good while.
Why? What you do?
I went berserk. So they blocked me on my underbody kinks on the car page. because of some violation of some random some.
Are you slating someone or something? Were you?
I can't remember what it was. No, I was doing. There was a young fella doing videos with me. I paid him a couple of quid to do some videos, and I think we did a burnout. And somebody reported that, and then reported something else, and they reported something else, and then the page got blocked. It disappeared. And
how'd you get it back?
I didn't.
Oh,
so what I did then was I changed my personal profile to Underbody Kings, and then I started another one, and then I bought 3 or 4 phones, and I wanted to have 10 phones. I said, this will never happen again.
Yeah.
But TikTok is so intelligent, it's so smart.
Yeah.
They kept on they started blocking my other accounts everywhere. I was getting 0 views. Everything came back to normal when I deleted all the extra accounts. TikTok knows.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I got some fella from the other side of the country on fire. No, it was just some random guy, marketing company. I got him to slice some of my YouTube content and put it on TikTok. And the TikToks were doing incredibly good until he sent me the link and I looked at it. The moment I looked at it on my phone, TikTok noticed connection. And they stopped showing.
Like it's probably not that difficult to figure that out, because basically your IP address will be flagged. Your phone will have an IP address, and like that link was opened by that IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. I think even when you speak to somebody over the phone, like there were so many random things that I couldn't just explain logically, you know?
Yeah.
Andrew Tate talks about it a lot because he has it figured out. He said that they spend months and months, and it changes all the time because he has it figured out.
The algorithm changes all the time.
Yeah. He does have it figured out pretty much, you know?
Yeah, I suppose the trick is, like, I think if you can get onto the new thing and just try it. You know, I seen a video there and your man said use TikTok live. So I was on TikTok and like people were watching the video for age. We had like a couple of 100 people on it. Yeah, but I don't know where it goes then. I think when you finish the video, that's it. It's gone. So
is it?
Yeah, so we're just like, Jesus, that's a waste. So I was kind of conscious that it might have been the case that when the video is gone, it's gone. So I was saying to people, go to my Instagram. And I was doing a giveaway on the TikTok on the Instagram. So I gave away a few places to the business program. So you're trying to get them from that, because like, you know, your man's name on TikTok is user 1 2 3 10 12 whatever. You don't know who he is really. Whereas when it's on the Facebook, you kind of, there's a name there, you get to know who they are, you know.
I keep saying to people that they should take advantage of TikTok right now because it might be blocked in very, very very near future, you know. Like they've already blocking it in certain countries. I think they want to get rid of it in America because, look, apparently it's like a spy device.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I don't care. They can spy away on me. I don't have 2 shits. Just spy away, man. I'm just working. You know, spy away. Give me a bit of data. Spying everyone else, I'll buy the data off you.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, they're just.
I've nothing to hide either. You know, the only thing I'd be afraid of is fucking they're looking at my shit. You know, they know everything.
Yeah.
Even your files, your messages, the way you type your messages in. You know.
Yeah.
They might not use it now, but they might use it in 10 years somehow.
I seen something before. I was like, I was actually on the Waterford Whispers, and you know that Waterford Whispers, the prank page. It's like a newspaper. Waterford Whispers newspaper. I was like, man who has TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, is worried about his online privacy, you know. So he's posting every day and he's worried about it. Just stop using them. That's the thing, isn't it? Like, people are giving out about them. Just stop using them if you want, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, I have a buddy like that. He's like,
and that's such an ironic statement, isn't it?
Yeah, like I have a buddy that is paranoid out of his head about online security, and I said to him one day, he won't put his credit card into his phone because that'll validate that it's him. And I said, can I have a shot of your phone? I want to download some music app. He's like, yeah, no bother. And I said something, is that the last 4 digits of your credit card number? He goes, yeah, why? I was like, I'm just at the buying that app. And he flipped, he did, you know. Hope you didn't. I don't put my number into that phone. I don't want them to know it's me, you know. It's just like, some people are mad. I couldn't give a shit. I'm not bothered by it.
Look, once you do everything reasonably within the law, you should. And anyway, any man who's, you know, doing business should do everything with the law. I don't do, you know, anything dodgy always get caught.
100%, you know. I remember Grant Cardone saying the thief will never be able to steal anything more than what you would have made legally. And then I was reading this article last night about 2 brothers in an African country that cheated at a marathon. So basically, your man went in to get changed in the toilet, and when he went in, his twin brother was already there.
Oh, no way.
The twin brother came out, right, and he got caught because he had a watch on. One had the watch on the left hand, one had the other one on the right hand, and there was a different colour strap on it, and he got caught. And then 4 or 5 years later, one of the brothers went to do the marathon, and he got like 6th place in the marathon. So he put the effort into cheating, got himself slated, and if he would have just put it into, you know, genuinely winning the race, he probably would have won it anyways, you know.
Okay.
So it's just that thing, you know.
Good lesson.
Yeah, well, like there's loads of people that's in jail for stealing small amounts of money, like, so they'd never be able to make big amounts of money. And the guys that have the cop on to do elaborate scams, I'm sure they'd be able to make big amounts of money in legit businesses. You know, that's the
yeah, like to me, legit business is easier once you know how. You know what I mean? Like to me now, to open business that makes a couple of £100 a day, I mean, easy peasy, and I don't even have to do it on autopilot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just get someone else to do it. You seem to be quite good at that. Just get someone else to do it.
That's how I do it. Would you believe that my phone doesn't ring? My phone doesn't ring at all. Well, everything is on the full autopilot, complete.
That's good.
I just grow things. You know what I mean? Everything has its own management.
I know my business is like fairly heavy. Like the property is not as heavy. Like all my effort in the property goes on growth. Well, 90% of my effort in the property goes on growth. 10% of it just goes on kind of maintenance, and but the Facebook business wouldn't last without me, you know. But like that's what I'm like.
No, you're the head of that.
Yeah, but look, you know, it took us like 13 months, 12 and a half months to get a million from it. Like, so I'm like, right, at that level of income, I think I'm happy to be the man there. So if I can double that, I'm like, it wouldn't take me too long to give me a good push to to get closer to that 100 million. So it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make for now. To give it.
That was a good move, moving away from the building and focusing on that. That was a very good move, wasn't it?
Well, I moved away from the building just to focus on the property.
Oh, was it? And wasn't the business program, was it?
No, sure. What the fuck would I want to be making videos online for? You know, that's like, what would I want to do anything like that? I want to keep myself to myself. So I left the construction space to focus purely on the property. So what happened was, and this is like first just a lesson for anybody like that's listening. The time to start investing in property is now, even when you've no money. So if I made like £100, that's a tenner for the property. You know, if I made £1,000, there's £100. I was always putting something aside, and then I was putting all the profits from the building business towards the property. And then when I left the building, I had about 7 million quid's worth of property, and the plan then was to just focus on that and drive that up. And you know, I was kind of always brought up on the way, like, whatever you say nothing. Don't be telling anybody your business. And then when I left the construction, I was just happy to talk to people if they asked me a question. I wasn't as guarded about the construction space. Yeah,
because you weren't involved.
I was done. I didn't care. And then I realised, like, I thought everybody had done in their business what I'd managed to do in mine, but they didn't, you know. So I started sharing just insights and helping people. And then I realised, hold on, we're actually onto something here. And then I said, right, maybe there's an opportunity to make a few quid here, you know. Well, I tell you then how that happened. So what happened was, I finished up with the building, and I just about finished my stuff with the banks. And then it was 2017, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, because I started in 18. So 2017, it's 17 or 18. Grant Cardone's 10x GrowthCon was on, and I just started following him, and that was his first one ever, you know. It was in Miami. So I was like, right, I'm going to that.
Oh, did you go?
Yeah, so I was there at like Tradesmen. So I'm like, right, Joe, you're here's a reward for yourself now. You're escaping bankruptcy. You didn't go under. Go off there now and enjoy that. I'm like, yeah, no, but I'm just doing a little thinking to myself. I'm like, if I'm going there, I'm not going as any general admission, you know, and I'm going to go and I want to sit right next to him, you know, and then, you know, I'm going to fly first class, and this is me I'm going to get big, huge hotel. Actually, I'm going to get a Rolls Royce like what he has to take me to the airport. I have all these things in my head, you know, so.
And did you do all that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I had all these things. So I'm like, okay, Joe, well, this is going to cost 40 grand. Where are you going to get the money for it? So this is me like talking to myself as I'm talking to you now. You can go and do it, but you must generate the income from some new source. You can't use it from what you have. Who do you think you are? You know, you don't be Bertie Big Balls now. Think you can go spend 40 grand on something like that. So I was like, right, what can I do? And I says, right, well, what I could do is I could find a group of people, and I could charge them 4 grand each. And I could get 10 people, charge them 4 grand each, and I could show them how I'm after doing all the different things that helped me make a couple of million quid, that led me to losing it, and that what allowed me to get it back. And I just made a video on Facebook on either the 28th or the 29th of December in whatever year that was, 2017 or 6, whatever it was. I was in Fuerteventura away for the New Year, and I just made this video saying, I've got a new business coming out, wait to see it. And just the thing just exploded straight away.
No way, like that?
Yeah, because people had known me, because I've been on TV a few times, and people knew I was in the business space. People from my area knew because they seen my vans. They knew I had a few houses around the area.
So you had a success, but you had a good success story behind you, basically.
Yeah. So people knew. It was like people were looking all the time, just waiting to get to know. I was on Dragon's Den as well, so people were looking.
Oh, no way. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So, we were just talking shit there for the last half an hour. We probably should have talked more business stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, I went to, I got the 40 grand up. I got 10 people, 4 grand each. Flew from Dublin to Heathrow, got a limo to pick me up in the not a limo, a Rolls Royce to pick me up in the travel lodge and bring me to the airport. Went into the first class lounge in Heathrow, just walking around on my own, first class flight. Got there, got a big hotel room, sat like, Cardone was in kind of seat A1, I was in like C3, so I was kind of back one and in back one or back two and in one. Yeah, I was at second seat in, third row behind him. And I was getting a chance to say hello to him and all. And I was just mingling around all the time. And I was like, wow, I just kind of dreamt this money up. And now I'm here. This is actually mad that this has happened. And when you go to front row with those things, you get to everybody, all the speakers are at the back. It's like a little lounge, and the VIP people can hang around with them. And so when I was there, Cardone was talking to somebody, and I just walked over to him, and he had this little page. I've actually told the story a few times. I had this page folded over, and it was like a 5-day retreat, $25,000. There's a picture like of a little desert island on the photograph, and just me with me big mouth. I was like, I'll go to that. And he just took the form that he was showing you, man, and he pushed it into my chest, and I had to take it. Then I'm like left with this thing, so I'm like, right, St. Bart's 5 days, $25,000, and I'm back in the conference and I'm watching it. I'm like, where the fuck am I going to get 25 grand now to pay for this? I'm like thinking, what will I do? So I put a post on my page. So I've been kind of online like about 6 months now doing this stuff. I says, what about if I create a program and show people how to buy their first 2 houses? So houses 250k, 2 houses 500k. So I just put a post and I says, how much would you pay me if I showed you how to acquire €500,000 worth of assets? And people like 10%, half, all these different comments were pinging in. So people are saying like 2-3 grand now. It says, right, 1,500 quid, people will go for it. And the post was like, I'm literally sitting at the 10x Growth conference, and I didn't put a post, sorry, I tell a lie. I put the post up, and when I seen the comments, then I walked back out to the lounge where Cardone was at to give me that thing, and I made a video. I says, I've got this program, I'm going to teach people how to buy their first 2 properties. It's 1,500 quid, 20 people only, So I went back in, sat down, and the phone was, people were pinging me. I was like, oh geez, this is great, So I rang the office. I was like, Rachel was the girl who worked in the office. I told her, I says, Rachel, people are going to bring money down to the office. Go to the bank at the end of every day. They'll give you a check, or I'm just collect the money in whatever form they're giving you. And she's like, you can't just have people dropping the money down. I have to do an invoice for them, because she's just so by the book with all the stuff. I was like, listen, take the fucking money. We'll sort out the invoices later on. So she got a load of money dropped down, and then I rang Linda. I was like, Linda, people are going to drop money down. Just take it. Go to the bank. Have no money in the house overnight, because people know I'm not there, So she's just used to me. She was like, yeah, no bother. So by the time I got back to Ireland, I had at least 30 grand dropped in between the house and the office. And I'm like, wow, look what just happened here, And this was me. I didn't believe I had the money spare to do that at the time, So that was it. I was booked in. Came back home, booked in. The hotel was like 1,000 quid a night. Didn't book the flights as of yet. But then what happened was, we were going away. The event was like, say, October or something like that. And at the time, I had €120,000 in my bank account. That's all the money I had. And I owed the bank 120 grand. So basically, I'd sorted out all my deals, and I had to pay 120 grand, and I had 4 or 5 years to pay it. But then, just to flick back, I was very lucky that the day after the Growth conference, I got to go and visit Grant in his office. So I down.
How did that happen? Did you just...
I just asked him, can I go down and see them? Because I bought a program, and he said, as part of the program, you can come down and visit the office. And they knew that I'd flown all the way from Ireland, so they let me come down. And what happened was, Grant said to me, you should be on stage with us. And I was like, wow, I can't believe he said that. He says, your story, people would love that. And he's like, if I could understand you, he says, I like you. He says, if I could understand you, I'd like you even more, because he couldn't understand the accent, you know. So I'm in the plan, like, Grant said I should be on stage with him next year. Like, that's amazing. Imagine they allowed me to do that. So I had to go. I was going to the event in St. Bart's. It was called a 5-day event. And I said, I can't go to that event unless I'm able to tell Grant that I'm after being on stage, and I sold out a room of people. So I put on this event, and we sold 300 tickets. So people came to see me talk on stage. The first time I've ever done that like that.
Where was that?
That was in the Clarion Hotel up at Liffey Valley.
Nice.
So
why don't you do that anymore?
It's just not, it's not money in it. It's not money. There's easier ways to make money, you know. But the whole kind of stepping stone was that, you know, I dreamt up the 40k to get there. When I was there, I dreamt up the money to go to St. Bart's. And I didn't want to go to St. Bart's unless I had the experience of standing on stage and putting on an event. And then I owed the bank 120 grand. And I'm like, I can't actually stand on stage and tell people how to create wealth and do all this sort of stuff if I owe the bank money. It's just...
It didn't resonate with you.
It's just not genuine, you know. So I says, right, I need to clear the bank before I go on the stage. But then that means I'm going to go to St. Bart's with no money. So I have to pay the 120 grand. I was like, right, that's it. I'm clearing the bank, and I'm not clearing it out of that money that I have. I'm clearing it somewhere else. So I had a few deals going on, and I plucked one of the deals, and I changed it around, and I said to a buddy of mine, I said, look, if I sold you a house that was worth 190 grand, but I sold you with the tenant and all the furniture, and I sold it to you for 200 grand, but I got you 100% mortgage, would you take it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I went and I got my 100% mortgage. And on that deal then, I managed to make 130 grand, but I wasn't going to get paid for ages. And I rang up a buddy. I was like, yeah, do you want to make 10 grand? He's like, yeah. As I'm at the selling the house, I'm at to making 130. Give me 120 today. And when the deal goes through, you can keep the 130. He's like, you're just going to give me 10 grand like that for doing nothing? I was like, yeah. So he lent me the 120. I went in, cleared the bank, stood on the stage, owned the bank, no money.
Shut up.
Got the experience, right? Of doing the event. That was a sellout. And then mad thing happened. Fucking hurricane came in and it literally wiped the whole island of St. Bart's. The hotel and all we were supposed to stay was gone. So Grant Cardone's office rang me and said, look, the island is ruined, so we're going to just give you your money back. So they gave me the money back, the hotel gave me the money back, and I just gained the experience of being on stage, and I cleared all the money. So like in the end I got no result out of the event other than all the consequences of it. And I was like, that was just mad. Like how that
should be in your book, man. That fucking deserves
probably,
a chapter.
Yeah, probably. But like there was a load of different things, like just putting yourself out there where that stuff kind of happens. And that was the maddest thing about it. Was like, you know, pushing yourself into the unknown, but just knowing that you're going in the right, or not even knowing.
But you have to have some sort of balls, you know, going on your own. 40 grand is a lot of money to a lot of people, you know.
It's a lot of money to me now, but it was a lot of money to me back then. But it was probably like close to like a third or a half of the money that I had then, because by the time the event came around, I only had 120 to my name, you know. But it was just mad how those things happen, and little kind of scenarios like that, like unknown things happen. I remember before, you know, somebody knocked at the door, like when I was in the insurance space, and like Linda says to me, there's a woman at the knocking at the door, like she's a hole in her roof, she's no insurance. I'm like, well, what's she asking me for? There's nothing I can do about that, you know. And I said, but you know what, the least I can do is go round to her and talk to her. So I went around and spoke to her. So look, something I can do. And turns out like she was so stressed out, not by the roof, but she was under pressure by the bank to move out of the house. And what was really upsetting her was that she had to sell the house, pay the bank the money, use the surplus funds that she had for the sale of the house to go and rent somewhere. And then when that money ran out, they were going to give her a council house, you know. And she just didn't want the idea of moving her kid twice in maybe 18 months, you know. So in the end, we done a deal where we paid her a low price for the house, and then I bought all the contents that were in the house, and it's all legit. And she was happy. We actually helped her get another house to live in then as well. She was buzzing with that. She was over the moon. And I bought the house, and then over time the house done really well, and I managed to sell the house and buy a couple of houses out of that. And it's just like little strokes of luck that wet
Look,
walking away.
if you were you could have just easily ignored that woman, and that wouldn't happen then.
Yeah, exactly. So all these different things, and like then another time, like a woman wanted me to buy her house, and I said to Linda, look, I don't want to buy that house off that woman. By the time I pay all the different money, I was like, she'll get 50 grand more somewhere else. Actually, I said she gets 60 grand more somewhere else. And Linda was like, maybe she doesn't trust anybody else and she trusts you. Maybe money's not that high on her priority, So she didn't have any money, but I was like, look, for you to sell it to him, he give you 260, I can give you 200, 210, whatever it is, because I have to pay for this and this and this and this. And she was like, okay, but will you just help me find another place? I was like, yeah, no bother. So in the end, then I bought the house off her, gave her the money, let her stay in the house. Then we bought an apartment. She bought an apartment out of the money I gave her, even while she was still in the house. And then I done up the apartment for her. So overall, she done all right. I mean, in the end, overall, she probably sold me the house for 40 grand less than what she would have got at the open market. But she wouldn't have got someone to do all that for her, And she's buzzing. Talked to her today. She's like, hey, delighted that she sold the house to me. It was a deal for me. I was happy that I done the deal. But it's like sometimes you just have to look at things in a different way. And it was like Linda had pointed out to me that it was a good thing for her to sell the house to me, where I was just looking at the number saying it wasn't a good thing. So all the time when you're looking at doing a deal, so for example, like when you see a sign in a garden, a house for sale, that's a financial transaction that's taking place. That's an advertisement for a financial transaction, but it's an emotional decision that has led to that financial decision taking place. It's an emotional decision that has led to that financial transaction taking place. So if you can get in touch with the people before they commit to putting on the open market, maybe you can offer them some value in a manner that's not actually available to them from the open market. So like, people talk about like the law of attraction and all that sort of stuff, and that's not really my gig. Like I'm a bricklayer. That's let's get stuck in, But more and more, like I'm starting to realise that this is more and more like this is a real thing and it's going on. And like he asked me about the new house there. So, we bought the house, and like all along over the last few years, you watch any of my videos, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to live in a mansion. Didn't say I was going to have, a Ferrari or anything like that, but I just said I was going to live in a mansion, And I always had this thing in my head of me just sitting down the back of my garden, just looking at the house and congratulate myself, saying, fair play, Joe, you got the house, you got the mansion. You didn't rip anybody off. You didn't do anything illegal, and you got it. And I had this thing in my head, and it's like a nice day, and the kids are running around. And the only thing that wasn't tallying up with this thing that was in my head, and I didn't decide to be in my head, it just was there, was that the house was a 3-story house, and I wouldn't live. I just can't see myself really living in a 3-story house. I don't like the inside. And then when I was just sitting down in the back of the garden there the other day, another thing was like I wanted a river at the end of the garden, but I'll be afraid because you have to constantly watch the kids. Don't go near the river, don't go near the river, don't go near the river, And then when I was sitting, I had this little alcove with a table and chairs in it, and I was sitting down there the other day, and I was just looking up at the house, and there's one side of the house, and then the other part, like the window was here, and then the other part, the window was higher, and I'm like,
that is a true story.
I seen that in my mind a million times, and like it literally frightened the BGAs around me. I was like, that is so weird, to the point where if I think if something negative pops into my head, I'm like, oh, don't be thinking like that, don't be thinking like that, it's not good for you, but it was a mad thing just to it was a mad thing to see that before.
It works. I have so many stories. I'm gonna probably do a separate episode about it, sharing those stories, because I have I used to, when I started writing those books, I'll tell you just very quickly. So when I started writing those, I wasn't working in a proper job or anything. I didn't have anything. Yeah. But this guy was telling me in this book to have ambitious goals, do this, and I looked out the window. I didn't know what for goals to have. I looked out the window, and all I could see was this abandoned building. And I was thinking, right, what business could I have in there, right? Yeah. And that was like 6 years before I opened my car business. Right. And I was like, okay, I could be doing this. I could have some cars, multiple units there, blah, blah, blah. I started writing this shit down. And 5 years later, by accident, I have a business doing exactly that.
Oh, brilliant.
It's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, like it's out there, you just have to go at it, and just move towards it, But like, you weren't going to end up with that business by accident if you were going to stay in a PAYE job.
Oh yeah.
But you just because you are pushing forward, so it's magic. Like if you, it just I wouldn't mind knowing how to understand it a little bit more, to be honest.
I haven't figured out that here. I think fucking
Yeah.
fucking so many. I read a lot of spiritual books like Stuart Wilde and all them. I fucking swallowed them all. I did.
Right. I've no idea who they are. You know what I have there? I don't know if I'm allowed to put this in. I got a little program for any of the boys that want to. Like, can I say?
Go on, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if any of your viewers are tradesmen or interested in that stuff, I'm at the doing up a free program for them. So if they just send me a message on Instagram or Facebook with Lucas, send me your name. I'll know they've seen it here, and I'll just give them the program. It's a little short program.
Did you hear this, guys? Well done.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody wanted to follow Joe Doyle and buy his books,
Joe Doyle Entrepreneur everywhere.
there you go. I'm sure everybody who watches this, they already know you.
We'll see. Hopefully they don't.
Some of them probably don't, but a lot of people know you. You're well known around, you know.
Yeah.
Joe, that was nearly 2.5 hours of a podcast. Thank you very much for smashing it with us.
No problem, my man.
It was
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us again. Cheers.
See you at the top.
See you at the top.